Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from Multiverse TV. I am Peter, and I am joined, as always, by Matt.
Hey, that's pretty understated intro this morning.
Yeah,
I feel like we're in a library.
I'm feeling, I don't know, a little bit somber. I don't know why. This was actually a really good week for books, so I'll be perfectly excited when we get to talk about
Did you not have
those.
your morning Red Bull?
I did not. No Red Bull. I was very heavy in the work today. I had a lot to edit when I got up and some comics left to read, so I've been very busy today so far. But I'm sure the excitement will kick in. Although helped in no small part, I suppose, by Connor, who is also here.
I am. I've recovered from my hangover. It was Arrow last night.
Yeah,
I'm all good
Arrow.
now. I've been up quite a while.
Plenty of water and Gatorade?
Yeah. I should have got a bit more sleep, but yeah, that would have solved it. But instead, I've just been awake long enough that it's like, yeah, okay, I'm good.
Yes, Arrow, which I even barely remember at this point. There was a pretty funny line, though. There was at least one funny line.
I remember all the Are You OKs being stacked in the back half.
Yeah, all the RUKs were there. There was one point where I swear Thea was going to say the word bloodlust, and it never quite happened, but I could have sworn it was going to come.
You could see it on her face, but never said it.
Yeah.
So you were just hoping, you were putting it out there so Connor would have to get extra.
Down the drink if there's a bloodlust.
Yeah, he made a new rule as well. He now also drinks if anyone says let's suit up, because they always do that in this show. They always have a let's suit up scene.
And now there's two teams to say it.
Yeah, because they split in two. There's an Arrow Civil War, Matt. There's a Team Arrow Civil War.
I'm never watching this show ever. This is the crossover and just have to watch the one episode. Never.
Yeah.
God.
So yeah.
There's an episode of The Simpsons where they're delivering a liver and something happens and it gets thrown out and they're in Moe's Tavern and Barney sees it sitting there and goes, "Oh, no, you don't." And he grabs the liver and puts it under his shirt. That's how I imagine Connor in, like, the end of the season of Arrow.
I imagine it. I mean, I never really watched ER, but I imagine that famous scene from ER where the guy's transporting the organ in the the cooler, and he drops it, and a dog runs up and grabs the organ and runs away with it. That's more how I see Connor handling his liver.
Yeah, that's really great.
I mean, sure, why not?
I just love the. Oh no, you don't.
So yeah, we talk about comics, DC Comics specifically, and coming up on this week's show in terms of books, we have the Terrifics #1, we have Detective Comics 975, Action Comics 998, Wonder Woman @40, The Flash 41, Batgirl #20, Teen Titans 17, returning to the show, Hal Jordan, The Green Lantern Corps 39, well, at least Matt's going to talk about. Cord, did you read this? You said you weren't going to have time, I think?
I did. I did. I read like the last 3 issues in one sitting, so Matt will take the lead because it's a bit blurred for me as to which is which.
It's all just a one green blur. Yeah.
Well, then you add an Action Comics because they're both with Zod on Jakul.
Yeah,
so...
it didn't help.
Okay. And then on top of that as well, we also have Mera, Queen of Atlantis #1, and we have The Silencer #2. So that's what's coming up on this week's show. But we have a bit of news before we get to that, though. Just a little bit of news.
Because of course we do. Because we can't have a week without any.
I hope
you know what, though? I've been through the dark times of DC where you looked at news and groaned. I am more than fine with looking at news and being like, well, "Hey, what's coming up? This is great."
I mean, this technically isn't an imprint, this next thing, but it's close to an imprint. It feels like an imprint. It's part of Vertigo, so it's just kind of already part of an imprint we already have, but it's also its own umbrella, so it feels almost like it is another Young Animal or something like that. So here's what we're talking about, because DC just love imprints. They're just making imprints for everyone. Bendis gets an imprint.
On that note there, Jinx World has gone up as an actual imprint of its own on Comixology, rather than just a separate, rather than a subsidiary. It's its own publisher.
Any different to how Vertigo's on its own?
No, more like Vertigo than, because obviously when it was announced, they spoke about it like Young Animal, which obviously doesn't get its own publisher thing. It's just its own imprint.
Well, I'm not that surprised though, because that's how Vertigo's listed on Comixology.
Yeah, this is more Vertigo than Young Animal, it seems.
Okay, so what's Jinx World cover? It's Powers, it's Scarlet.
Any of Bendis' new IPs that he wants to do, really.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he just announced a couple.
Yeah, he announced a few this week, yeah.
I know right now, like the first issues of like 5 of his series on there are free on Comixology to go check out.
Because I know, like when they brought Powers to, it started at Icon, right, and then it went to another one. Like they do this. They reprint them a lot under the new publisher.
Yeah, so he's starting a new series, or a couple of new series in Jinx World. So there's just new things. It's like he'll do his Superman books, and then he'll do his own creator-owned thing over there.
Yeah.
So the new thing that was announced this week, this new umbrella, because we keep having umbrellas, and we can't have a week without something meaty to talk about from DC apparently right now. So Neil Gaiman is going to do a new set of Sandman books. Now, he's not necessarily going to be the one writing the books himself, but he's curating them. He's doing the one shot that's going to kick everything off come August, which, interestingly enough, this is something we noticed, actually. It mentions it in the text as well, but the first thing I noticed when I saw the cover for this is there's the Vertigo banner at the side. It said Vertigo on it, and I went, oh.
That's good. I mean, it keeps continuity.
And I was thinking, and I remembered, that's right, they said last year that Vertigo was going to have like a relaunch in August. I'm wondering if it's more than this, or if it's just the Sandman stuff, but I'm sure we'll find out at a later date. But at least now there's going to be 4 books in the Sandman universe that are all sharing a world. It's going to kick off with a one-shot. Launching in August with a one-off called The Sandman Universe #1, plotted by Gaiman. The 4 titles will take place in a shared universe, utilising characters and concepts originated by the writer, including The Dreaming, Tim Hunter, and the Books of Magic, as well as Los Angeles-based retired devil himself, Lucifer. The 4 titles will be written by creators handpicked by Gaiman, with editorial oversight by executive editor of DC's Vertigo imprint, Mark Doyle. So again, firmly putting it inside the Vertigo kind of line. And it makes sense to make Sandman kind of the tentpole. Yeah, of Vertigo. That makes a lot of sense to me. The announced series are The Dreamin', written by Cy Spurrier, House of Whispers by Nalo Hopkinson, Books of Magic by Kat Howard, and Lucifer by Dan Waters. So that's all kicking off in August. As someone who's never read any Sandman, I am kind of an outsider to this news, but it looks like a big deal. They're making a big thing out of it.
Yeah. I read the first 2 trades and I really enjoyed it, but I took a break because we got busy with all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But this is I'm gonna go and pick back in, and I'll be up to date by the time this starts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay. I have the first trade in my Comixology, and it's been there. I bought it in a sale like 4 years ago, and it's been sitting there waiting for me to one day go, hey, I'll try Sandman.
It's collecting digital dust.
Digital dust, yes.
I've got plenty of those myself.
Yeah, plenty of those. It's one of those things. It was one of those Volume 1 sales where they had Volume 1 of that, Volume 1 of Preacher, Volume 1 of all these things, and I got it because I should try that at some point, and I still haven't gotten around to it. Which I probably mentioned when What's His Face showed up during Metal, but I'll say it again here. It's relevant.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'm not familiar with most of these writers. Cy Spurrier is the only one I've got any experience with.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Big fan of his work that I've read, though.
I've heard of Books of Magic. I remember they did a deluxe of that at one point, from what I recall. And obviously Lucifer's got a TV show, so he's pretty well known at this point.
He did.
Well, the Books of Magic, they spun into the proper, like they did with Constantine.
Yeah,
those characters.
There was a really long interview with all this, and I did skim through it. And he talked about the Books of Magic. I can't remember. Can you remember the kid's name from that?
Yeah.
It was Harry Potter.
The not Harry Potter, which was before Harry Potter, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's funny you bring that up, because I saw this week someone tweeted at him saying, "Hey, who's the Harry Potter looking dude on the cover here?" And he's like, that's so and so, and he predates Harry Potter by X number of years. And I actually kind of wondered, can he possibly set it up just so that it'll automatically tweet that out every time someone asks him about it? just it's not Harry Potter. He existed first. Stop bugging me.
12-year-old with an owl.
Yeah,
it does magic. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's there.
Oh, man, what was his name?
I can't remember. It's
because I just remember his dad was a great wizard, and and he was taking it.
But his mom was a shit wizard.
He showed up.
Tim Hunter.
What's that?
Tim Hunter.
Yeah, Timothy Hunter. That's right. Because he showed up in, I think, Lemire's Justice League Dark for a little bit.
Right. Yeah. But
that's right.
He was talking about how obviously the old run of that still exists, and he said he's almost going to treat it like an Earth 2. He referenced when we got Barry, Jay became the Flash of Earth 2. They're kind of doing that here, where that happened. This is a different version of Tim, but it's not to say that there'll never be any interaction or anything like that down the line.
Right.
So that's kind of cool already. That's a concept from the get-go.
Yeah.
So you're getting 4 new books, a whole new little sort of other world to kind of explore. Should you want to keep up with it?
I know the art for at least the one shot, and I think one of the main series is Bill Percival.
Oh,
well,
yep.
Hello.
Yeah, she's definitely doing the one shot.
So Matt was not necessarily buying these books, but now he's in for at least one of them.
Yep.
Well,
so
because you know what she drew, right?
Yes, we do. We all know it.
Okay.
Yeah, she did some of the later flashback stuff in the Wonder Woman run in Rucka. Starting from about issue 14 after what's her face left?
Scot.
Thank you, Nicholas Scott. Nothing before that though.
No, nothing.
Nothing rings any bells.
Nothing like the Cheetah flashback from Wonder Woman 8. No.
Yeah, and now Kristen Wiig will be maybe Cheetah. We can relive that issue.
I was hoping when they said like they were gonna do a villain for Wonder Woman 2 and her name popped up, I was hoping it would be Kale, because I think she'd kill it as Veronica Kale. But
I can see that.
I'm open to Cheetah, you know.
I can kind of, it's an oddball choice, but I can kind of see it for Cheetah. I guess we naturally just kind of went into the one bit of movie rumors this week, for just kind of easily. So there you go. But no, so that's the news this week. So you're getting some Sandman and Sandman related books coming, starting in August, and we'll see if there's been any more Vertigo titles that kind of go along with that. I wonder if they if they end the current Hellblazer and moving back over to Vertigo or something like that as a big splash to say, hey, we're treating it.
Maybe. I mean, they're rolling this out slowly. I mean, you got the one shot in August, then 2 books starting in September, and the other 2 in October. So they're not just kind of going, here they are all at once.
Yeah. I think that'd probably be I think that's the biggest thing they could do, actually, to make, as a sort of testament to everyone, to say, hey, like, we're actually treating this like Vertigo of old, so we're going to take Constantine back and we're going to put him in. I mean, it's still in continuity, but we're going to put him in a Vertigo book.
Yeah, did you throw in a Swamp Thing book as well?
That's what I was just going to ask.
Oh, I'd go for a Swamp Thing Vertigo book.
Mm.
Yeah, but do you make them exclusive to that, so they're compartmentalized again? Because I kind of like how
I see no reason not to have a version of Swamp Thing in Vertigo and a version of Swamp Thing in the DC universe. Same for Constantine, frankly.
Or you just keep it in continuity. It doesn't really matter. You can just have it in Vertigo.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't want to be robbed of like I don't need Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman showing up with Swamp Thing all the time, but I like when they show up from time to time. So
yeah, I think you could do both. I don't think there's any reason to say you can't.
I wouldn't want
that.
it just one or the other. Because I think there's room right now, especially for like darker Vertigo of old stories that you can do that wouldn't fit in necessarily with.
I think Rebirth. you have Swamp Thing have his own thing in Vertigo, but he can still pop in for guest appearances like he has been in various other books in the DC universe. So I think that would work. But that'd be a big splash. Of say, hey, here's the things you think of with Vertigo that aren't. Because obviously you think of things like Preacher, you think of maybe Why the Last Man, but these are things that finished, they were kind of standalone and they're done. Whereas, but the Sandman and Swamp Thing and Constantine, these are things that, these were the big names of Vertigo that were sort of long running and kind of went in and came back and so
Sandman and Lucifer as well. They're big, things that people associate with Vertigo quite heavily, I think.
But there you go. So that's the news. So I think we'll get on to books then. Got me out because week 4 has typically been a quieter week, but obviously there's a couple of new things that started this week that gave it a little bit more life. And we're going to start with number 1. We're going to start with the Terrifics number 1. Jeff Lemire and Ivan Reis on the book. Of course, we've been looking forward to this. This was easily the Out of the Dark Matter New Age of Heroes line. This was the one that obviously immediately piqued everyone's interest and was like, hey, that looks like fun. And Jeff Lemire's back at DC. These are all things I like.
Oh, it's got Ivan Reis art.
Well, I mean, you say that, I could leave it. I'm like, okay, no. It's fine, but I can't wait till Doc Shaner's taken over.
Because they made
of course.
They made it clear at the start, though, this is Doc Shaner's book. He just couldn't start until issue 4, so they.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of Ivan Reis. I think he's solid, but I don't love it.
I never wanted to smack you.
I think he's pretty solid myself. I probably like him a bit more than Connor, maybe not quite as much as Matt. I'm probably somewhere in there.
I just associate him with the Johns runs of the mid,
That's fair. I think he's a very reliable artist, don't be wrong.
Yeah.
It always turns out something, at least, it's pretty good.
Up until Sejic, I think he was my favorite Aquaman artist. his work that he had done, like
Yeah.
with
Cedric takes the cake.
Atlantis.
I'm surprised no one's been going on about the tweet where he tweeted an image of Starfire with a
We'll get there.
possible
That's what Teen
hint.
Titans is for. Come on.
Oh, sure, okay, fine. So I'm sorry, you brought up Cedric. I went there.
But, so when I saw Reis, I got pretty excited because that's a name that has value. And then Lemire, and then they get storyteller credits, so they're both working on it. So I don't know if that's going to be going forward. If Shaner and Lemire are going to do the same thing.
I think so. The whole of this line has been storytellers, and it's been the artist first as well on all of the New Age books.
So this was all around delightful.
I love how he doesn't let me say the premise of the issue. He just jumps right in. He can't hold it back.
No, I can't.
He just can't. The book is so basically Mr. Terrific goes to Simon Stagg. Apparently, while metal was going on, Simon Stagg basically took Terrific's company and all of his tech. And like, I'm having all this, and Terrific's not happy about it. So he shows up, and Stagg, the scoundrel that he is, he's using Metamorpho to try and open a portal to the dark multiverse.
If you remember of the background of Doomsday Clock, this is all in that back matter of the Project Superman stuff. Not this necessarily, but Simon Stagg and using Metamorpho, and so I think it's interesting. Like that's how this book kicked off with all that stuff.
If nothing else, it's a nice bit of continuity and synergy just kind of happen between the various things that are going on.
It is, yeah.
Which is cool. And so basically things go wrong. The portal that he's opening starts to kind of get unstable. He brings the Plastic Man egg in, and him, Mr. Terrific, the egg, being Plastic Man, and Metamorpho all kind of like go into the dark multiverse. And Terrific's like, "Hey, Plastic Man, wake up, you asshole! We need you to save us." Which leads to him basically eating them, for safety. Putting them in. He's getting big.
Yeah, because
and putting them in his mouth because
he has the unstable molecules that the dark energy doesn't affect. That's why he's so important to all of that.
He has natural defenses. Honestly, my favourite panel of this entire book might be after Plastic Man finds out how long he's been asleep, and he finds out that Mr. Terrific and Batman have been used him to try and help during metal. There's just that panel where he says, "I feel used," and he's got that face, and he looks so annoyed, and it's so cartoony. I love it. It's great.
That's pretty good. I think my panel for this again, top Plastic Man moment is actually the very first panel when he wakes up, where his face is just kind of stretched across the top half of the egg, and his mouth's like, okay, what's going on here?
In fact, it looks like an egg in an egg cup, almost.
It does, yeah.
Because the red suit part looks like the cup, and then his face looks like the egg.
Yeah.
Just with eyes. This was like super out there, but in a really fun, easy to digest way.
Yeah, it's very Silver Agey, like in the best way.
Yeah. And I instantly liked all the characters. Obviously, Terrific's the straight man. Metamorpho's your big. I mean, I don't want to just say he's the Thing character, but he kind of is. He's
Let's just address this, shall we? I mean, we mentioned it when it was announced, but we've gone a whole 3 minutes now without mentioning it.
And Plastic Man is closer to the attitude of a Johnny Storm, but obviously has the powers of the Mr. Fantastic.
Stretch.
Yeah. All stretchy. And of course, Phantom Girl. Eventually, we get her. She's actually already here. They think because they basically find what they think is landmass, and Terrific's like, that doesn't make sense. That's not possible. There shouldn't be any landmass in here because it kind of sounds like at the end of Metal, they're going to destroy the Dark Multiverse, or at least all the stuff in it.
Yeah, something in it.
Yeah, but then I love how Plastic Man just stretches his neck to get. I'm going to get a bird's eye view, and he just neck comes up. You get that big 2-page spread of. Essentially a god, or whatever he is. I'm
going to call it not Galactus.
Or not a Celestial. Or not a Celestial either, because I got Guardians of the Galaxy vibes of nowhere.
Yeah, the big skull.
I say Galactus just because of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. He's got the big horn things that's kind of Galactus-y.
Yeah.
It's very Kirby in design.
It is. I had super amount of fun. And they run into Phantom Girl, who's been stuck here. She can't solidify. She's been kind of stuck in her phasing phase ever since she got stuck here. And she's been here for a while, apparently. And, I mean, the issue is all about them just kind of encountering each other for the first time. It's setting things up. And she's like, hey, there's technology in there, but it doesn't work. And Terrific's like, hey, you probably just know how to work it. And he gets it going. And there's a hologram of Tom Strong saying that he's probably already dead if you're seeing this. And it's up to you to save the universe. So this feels super origin story for a team. This is the thing they're just thrust together to solve. But then at the end of the first arc, they're going to be like, hey, We work pretty well
Stick around.
together.
Yeah.
We should probably
We're
stick
pretty
around
terrific.
together. Yeah. Oh, no, don't do that. I watched the 2015 Fantastic Four. Don't you give me that whole, oh, it's terrific. Say that again. I know what we'll call ourselves. We'll call ourselves the
with Plastic Man,
Terrifics.
you could take advantage of because he can be very self-referential in that Deadpool way, just not annoying.
And at least on this one, you've already got a Mr. Terrific to base off that. You know, like the name's already there for them to pull from.
Admittedly, if there was 3 of them, then the Terrific Trio would have been a really nice pun on the name, but we got 4, so...
So, I get to the end, I had no idea. Like, when I'm reading this, there's that page that has Tom Strong on it. I was like, huh, that's weird. Why would they be priming that at the beginning of the book?
Do you not remember them announcing this? Like, way back?
I don't remember
I
them announcing that either.
Oh, I remember just one week, it was mentioned in the news that Tom Strong was going to be in
I'm glad
book.
I missed that, because I got to that last page, and I was
Well,
like...
that's the thing, Matt. You didn't miss it. We definitely talked about it. You've just forgotten about it.
Yeah, I don't recall it either, to be fair.
Man, now I need to go back and check out Tom Strong. That was always a blind spot. But it seems like my kind of guy. I mean, square-jawed adventurer. Look at he's got a knife on his belt. Like,
Yeah,
that
and
image
a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, Tom Strong was an Alan Moore creation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't think this one's quite as off limits though.
No.
It's not quite the holy grail that no one can touch.
Yeah. But it always just cracks me up when DC uses his stuff and people get cranky on his behalf. Luckily, I haven't seen any of that so far. But again,
yeah, and like, going back to the whole metamorpho kind of being the thing, he's got that lovable giant thing, because there's that one point where he's like, hey, I didn't hurt Sapphire, did I? Because he really cares if he hurt anyone when he was like freaking out as the portal was opening. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in it. I think what this issue does really well is it sets up in this big super goofy Silver Age sort of concept where we're trapped in this celestial body.
It's a big cosmic romp.
Yeah, but I think the thing it really does well though is it quickly kind of sets up the tone of all the characters and their interactions. And easily my favourite thing so far is just everyone putting up with Plastic Man and Plastic Man's attitude.
When Phantom Girl says where she's from, and I'm not even trying to pronounce all that. It's just consonants. And then Plastic Man's like, is that somewhere in Eastern Europe?
Biztil. I don't have it in front of me. I'm just kind of
look to him like, what is wrong with you? I love that whole interaction. It is very Ben and Johnny.
No, it is, and again, just he's got such a fun visual power. When they're fighting, and he's just stretched all over the place. It's the page after the big, not Galactus.
Yeah.
That middle where he's just flailing, I think is the only word I have for it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so goofy and fun. I think. I mean, it's not surprising, because I was almost worried that we had so high expectations for this book that it would maybe be underwhelming. Like, it wouldn't be bad, but we'd come into it going, oh, well, we kind of seen this as the gem, and we'd kind of feel like, eh. But honestly, so far, it is definitely the one that has really nailed everything right away, where it feels like this is the start of an adventure. I want to be on this story. I want to be on this journey.
It delivered.
It delivered.
Where it doesn't feel like it was actually part of that Black Matter or Dark Matter line that became New Age of Heroes, and then they just kind of threw it in there because it was coming out around the same time. Because it feels different tonally than everything else I read from there.
No, I mean, this feels like a more traditional DC book in that sense, whereas the others I feel like they're doing something very different.
Yeah, I feel like those are more of a risk than this is.
I mean, it's a risk in terms of who the characters are, but I feel like this is kind of the point of the book, is it's going to take these C-listers and make something out of them by making them a team.
Yeah.
And we all know how I feel about that. I love when they do that.
Yeah. I really appreciate. We talk about how this is a very standard origin story. Not to its, not criticism, but that's what it is here. And I feel like a lot of the time these stories are really stretched out. But this is only going to be 3 issues. This origin.
Pun intended, of course.
It was, yeah. But often it's okay. This is 6 issues for this, and it's like it doesn't really need to. It goes on too long. Whereas this is going to be 3. It's going to be presumably relatively tight for the origin.
Yeah, and then issue 4 starts like a proper arc, I guess, with Doc Shaner on board for art, and we can
I believe so, yeah.
have a thing there. So, no, it all makes sense. I liked that a lot. Like, I really was into it. It was super fun. And I think my favourite part about it, just existing, is that it feels like it's just filling a void that wasn't there. I mean, we've got a lot of good DC books, but I don't think there was any that felt quite like this. This is kind of filling this sort of adventure void that was maybe missing before.
Yeah, and then you have Tom Strong in there, and you definitely know where it's going with that character. So, yeah, very exciting times.
Yeah, no, obviously, I mean, there was no surprise, but obviously we'll keep doing the book. Issue 2 will be covered next month, not to worry. So we will move on, I think, then, to Detective Comics 975, James Tynion in the fourth writing, Alvaro Martinez on the art. This is the Trial of the Batwoman issue, and I got super excited in this issue, because as much as we've obviously had this Bat Family book, right, it's not had Dick, it's not had Babs, and it's not had, like, Robin, even Damien, right? There's something really...
Or Connor's favourite.
Or Connor's favourite, Jason. There's something really beautiful to me about the idea that when this happened and Batman wants to discuss it with the family, he has to call in the core family who have not been around.
Yep.
I really love that idea. And it was like...
It's a family meeting. Like,
and even just Dick, like, meeting Babs first, and obviously it's a bit of a joke. He's like, "Oh, all my bikes are in Bloodhaven. Can I get a ride?" But like, just having them all, it feels like it does kind of feel like a family either reunion or like a funeral or a wedding where they've not seen each other in a while, so they're all like arriving at different times and catching up. It's got that kind of vibe to it. I like all that
the
stuff.
amount of crap that Damien's talking, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Also, this showed me I need Damien interacting with Cass more often.
Yeah.
I need it. I need someone who can put him in his place.
Yeah. Well, just not because they're almost two sides of the same coin. Whereas he's all bluster, and she's the opposite of all bluster.
Yeah.
Like,
She
no bluster is the phrase you're looking for.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a better way to put that when I started it, but he's very gonna let you know what he's gonna do and how he can defeat you. And Cass doesn't need to do that. She can just give you the look and just go, no.
You're going down now.
Or even Tim being smug is like, "Oh, I should have recorded that," after she puts Damien down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's my one thing is how I feel Tim's a little bit off here. But I don't know if that's on purpose or if it's just in direct contrast with everybody else that's there.
Do you know what I need more of? Actually, speaking of interactions, I think Babs and Damien, I kind of want a bit more of that as well. I feel like we don't really get much of that.
No.
Yeah.
So I could be doing more of that.
This is what we say is what we want for when Detective shifts to a new writer.
We want all these characters added in. Yeah.
If we're gonna shake up the team, shake up the format of the book a bit, let's get some of these things together.
It'd be cool. It'd be like a Brave and the Bold, but just for Batman characters, where you can mix up for 4-issue arcs.
That's a bit of an excellent, because one of my suggestions was just do rotating through. Okay, this is a Dick arc. This is a Tim arc. Like just do it like that and spiral through. But maybe do it as a Brave and the Bold between them works better.
Yeah, so it's always a pair or whatever.
Yeah, or a grouping of, because it'd be cool to have the Batgirls like teaming up with the first Robins. Like that would be super cool.
Or just the three Batgirls, just for
or
an
the
issue.
three Batgirls going on.
Hey, I'll take it ongoing, just called Batgirls. Thank you, with all the three.
Well, that
Batgirls.
too, because like one of my favorite things pre-Flashpoint was there was a story in Batgirl where Stephanie had to watch Damien, and she's babysitting, and it's just the way that Brian Q. Miller wrote that.
She teaches him how to be a kid. It's basically that's the issue.
And that's always kind of my favorite thing is when you have these Bat characters and they're all personality, so it's fun to see them bounce off of each other. And then here, that's the whole crux of the issue. It's basically an issue of people sitting around talking. And normally
it's
I'd be
an issue of double-page spreads.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! Almost everything. There was like 3 single pages in the entire goddamn book.
I'm gonna count them just out of spite of this.
But so basically, one by one, they all give their opinion as to what to do with this. And what's interesting is you basically have characters who are arguing should she wear the bat still, and characters against. And interestingly, Babs is the one who first kind of comes in and says no, she should still. It's her choice, because this isn't about her. This is about you. You feel betrayed. You feel like she's the legacy of your mother's side of the family. You feel like, oh no, like this is about you and you feeling guilty over it, not her. And it's her choice to make that decision, which is at the end of the book she does, because at the end of the book she actually agrees to go and run Colony. We're going down that path for Batman Eternal, so that's the whole thing.
So do you think this is the decision that adult Tim was talking about? That she's going to ruin it all?
Stands to reason, yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
So it wasn't so much about the murder of Clayface as much as her basically leaving the bat.
I think they're so intrinsically tied together anyway.
Yeah,
So he could have been referred to that specific incident because that sets the Bat family as a whole down this path as well. Of
it's just so
her
entwined. Like her killing Clayface is what leads to her making that choice. So I mean, it's kind of all one the same. I do love that Babs, and even to an extent Dick, they're not afraid to like. I love how they feel like the oldest kids in the family because they're not afraid to speak against Bruce and call him out on his shit. And I kind of really like that. I like that they're willing to do that.
Well, I love especially with Babs because she is smart enough. She's on Bruce's level that way, and you just go, look, no, I know what you're doing, and I think if that was Jason doing that, it would have felt so hollow, So the fact that it's coming from Babs,
I even like she calls out, oh, you even just set all this up for Tim to like run the Gotham Knights because you just wanted to basically find a place for Batwoman where she would not go down that path. You wanted to try and like keep an eye on her and keep tabs on her and keep her, within the Bat family.
And I like the bookend device of the funeral, where Bruce and Alfred are there for her mom, and you would assume sister's funeral, and they talk about the pain and the loss and does it ever get better, and it's really throughout that you can see the split between the two, between Bruce and Keith at those young ages, and then how it informs their decisions going later. That she is the soldier. And while Batman has a mission, you never really think of him like a soldier. He's for a lack of better, he's Batman.
Yeah, he's something else entirely.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting how Tim actually refers to his plan, his eventual goal as Pax Batmana, which is obviously what that futuristic arc was.
Yeah. Well, the whole goes too with Pax Romana, right?
Yeah.
Which led to the downfall of the Roman Empire because they got too big.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's interesting that even now that was always the goal for Tim. Like maybe it warped out of control to become what we actually saw, but in concept at least he had that even named already at this stage. I think that's quite fascinating.
And that's kind of what. Not that it feels off, because it feels very right for Tim, but for him to keep pushing this as he knows the future Tim and what happens.
I think it's a case of being like, I know that's how that's supposed to be, but he's still overly confident himself that he can do it differently.
For as much as he thinks he's different from Batman, he's not going to become Batman. He's equally stubborn about what he thinks the way things should go are, compared to how Batman's stubborn about how the way things should be done.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason Tim is always seen as the successor to Batman, right?
Yeah. But I can easily see how this gets corrupted and he becomes that future Batman.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like there's that tinge of naivety with him. Like,
well, I mean, Babs calls him out on that. She calls him a naive teenager, an idealistic. I think was the word she uses, and that's kind of it. It's like he has good intentions and he clearly believes in what he's doing, and he doesn't realize how it's going to be perverted into what we've seen, which is why he's still going down that path, because he just has no comprehension of that.
Yeah, it does definitely feel like it's building to the Gotham Knights not being a thing. Obviously, we've been such a fan of the team existing and interacting, and we're even talking about in this issue how we kind of want some of these other characters to be around for some of these stories so we can have them all interact. I do hope it becomes something like that. Like maybe the solution at the end of this is for them to be closer as a family, even if it doesn't necessarily mean having an actual team where they meet at a round table and go on missions together.
Yeah.
But they're close enough that we do see them like intermingle a lot, and we see Babs in Detective Comics a lot with Batman or with Damian or with whoever, like pick and match. And obviously I want Steph and Cass around because I'll be upset if they
Well, of course,
obviously.
Well, and don't get lost too.
I just want to say the final issue of his run, he put the cover up, right? And Steph is not on the cover, and I'm like, oh, come on, you. She's just gone now.
Yeah.
Given how much you promised her at the start, she's been very in and out, hasn't she?
Yeah, I do feel like Steph's the one disappointing part where it feels like she was very limited compared to everyone else. As opposed to Cass, who, I mean, obviously I love that Cass has got so much attention. I love that she had this emotional core with Clayface. And that's the thing in this issue, like that's the thing that's killing Kate, is she keeps seeing Cassie's eyes. She can't live with the heartbreak she's caused her. Like she's just completely destroyed her world. But yeah, but I love
I like how Alfred takes her. Like, she's not part of the meeting. You know, he takes her
to the ballet.
Like, oh, let's go watch the Russian ballet, and I made some dinner. And,
and like we say,
I love Alfred like
the
that.
core Bat family are the Robins and Babs. That's the core Bat family.
Yeah.
So they're the ones who are having this meeting. I like that. I like that he's like, because obviously Alfred's an actor. He's into these kind of things. He's going to bond with her. But I love the core debate of like, should she be wearing the bat symbol? Like, what does that mean? It goes back to like obviously a couple issues ago when Cash ripped it off and said, no, this means more than that. And that's kind of what they're debating here. And like Dick's like, oh, I think there's a path to redemption. I think she made the choice she thought was right. But maybe in the meantime, until she earns that trust back, she shouldn't be wearing the symbol. But no, Babs like, no, she's just, if it's her choice to wear that symbol, if she wants to do her thing with it.
You can't stop her. She's made it her own as much as everyone else.
So where do you guys stand on that?
Oh, this is getting to an interesting debate. Connor, you go first. What do you feel?
Okay. I think I'm closest to Dick, where, I understand the decision she made. It was the wrong choice as a Bat family member, but arguably the right choice in general, as a soldier, like she's trained. Yeah.
No, let me go.
So I think that so she's not a Bat right now, but if she wanted to be, she can earn back that trust and become part of that family again. Yeah,
I don't see Kate as a villain. I think. Well, obviously, we're seeing her almost being seduced seems the wrong word when we're talking about her father, but she has kind of been seduced into running the colony. She's kind of like being teased into that, and he's kind of taking.
It feels like this is a bigger plan by him, going like, they're just going to disappoint you. That's what he's been telling her from the beginning.
It's almost like he's been whispering in her ears, like, they're going to let you down, and then eventually it kind of happened. He put the gun in her hand. He gave her the gun, and then this happened, and now he's like, okay, now my daughter's where I want her back. I want her back with me, like, living my legacy out. Not that stupid Bat thing. No, my legacy. The Kane legacy.
Yeah.
So,
as I tried to corrupt the Bat back in the first arc and steal its meeting.
So you've got that. But I don't think... I don't see her as villainous because I do think the choice itself makes sense. She made the difficult call, like in an action movie, if this was happening, there's a monster coming, and the only way to take care of it is to kill the person who's becoming the monster. It would be the sad, tragic ending to the werewolf movie, or whatever. Take your pick, and it would make sense in the plot. But we are talking about superheroes, and we're talking about what it means to be on the Bat family, and that is the rule: is you do not kill. That's what that means. You find another way. You do something better. So. I probably do agree with Dick mostly. That said, I do kind of like where Babs comes from with it. I think what's really smart about this issue is that I don't think any of the opinions of any of the team members struck me as being A, that doesn't make sense for the character, or B, that's completely bullshit and out of line. They all felt like they'd had some sense to them. And I think Babs was particularly interesting because she just called out Bruce and all of his shit. And I think especially just tying into what she's like kind of setting up in her own book right now. We'll get into that obviously more later, but the idea that she's getting to a point where she's starting to feel like she's growing up and she's not a kid anymore. And this kind of ties into that kind of neatly, which is pretty cool.
So I agree with that.
So weirdly, and I never thought I'd say this, I fell more towards Jason's reasoning. Just like, he made sense, and I wasn't expecting that.
Well, no, to be fair, I don't want to be seen defending Jason here, because that will not help my reputation. But to go back to go back to what Peter just said, Peter said, not me, everyone makes sense with their arguments. There is no one who just comes out with something that you go, nah, that's bullshit, including Jason.
He is such the black sheep of the family. I expected him to go, oh yeah, I don't see what's wrong. Like, that dude needed to catch a bullet, and she did what needed to be done. But he came off, like, super thoughtful, which isn't very Jason, So, just the fact that he was like, yeah, it was a tough decision. She made it. Like, look, I don't use lethal means anymore because I learned. And, so just the fact, like, he's like, yeah, you could still be a Bat and do that. I'm proof of it. I'm right here. Bruce lets me... do what I need to. So I was just like, man, these are all three great arguments out of these three characters, and they all match,
Yeah, definitely.
I think this is one of the best issues of the run. And I think it's one of the best issues because it brings into question what being a Bat family member means. And not necessarily what Batman, because Batman stays mostly silent. He just sits there and he listens to the arguments. He just listens, he lets them have their input. And I actually really like that. I like that he's like, no, what does being a Bat family member mean to all of you? Because obviously he started it. He's Batman. He's got his war on crime and he's tragedy with his parents. He is just what he is. But he wants the opinions of the others who have taken up the mantle as part of the legacy. And what does it mean to you?
That right there encompasses the difference between Batman and Detective Comics as books. This has been the teen book. Yeah, Batman's been a part of it, but it's never been his book. And even this issue. He's just facilitating the discussion and the debate. He's not really taking part. He's just overseeing it.
Because I was expecting that.
He's the judge.
But I was expecting it to happen at the end. Actually, as I was reading it, I thought we'll get to the end, and the last couple of pages will be him giving his input and what he feels. Like after he's listened to everything, he's considered everyone else's opinion. Here's what I feel. But it doesn't do that, because what it actually does instead is it goes to Kate, and we see Kate make her decision. So, I mean, not making the rest of it irrelevant, but just making it irrelevant in the sense that they're not going to decide for her. Yeah,
it's kind of Batgirl wins in this sense. Babs is right. Yeah. It's her decision. She takes it into her own hands, what she does. We don't have that say.
And Luke and Azrael kind of help her along that way, too. You know?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care about those.
I know you don't, but, I think the fact that they're there...
And here's the thing I like about it as well, is that Batgirl advocates her making her own decision, and then she does make her own decision, but I think, at least from our perspective, it's clearly the wrong decision. And I think, given the future we've seen as well, it's probably the wrong decision, but she has to be allowed to make her own mistakes.
Well, given the future ahead, where it seems like she's the I don't say warrior for freedom, but she's one of the people she's part of the resistance with the colony against,
if I recall, it was her and Jason were the main people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When I say this is the wrong choice, I don't necessarily mean that she's the villainous one in the future. I mean that happens because of this decision, because this is what starts the dominoes falling.
Yeah. So I had a friend bring up that his personal theory is she's just doing this to kind of take down the colony once and for all. Like, this is her ending now. Her killing Clayface is almost like, in a mob movie where the undercover guy has to kill somebody to earn that place and show he's loyal. That was his take. And I think it's too tropey, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean,
if it goes that direction a little.
No one else is in on it. If that's what's happening, if that's her plan right now, this is purely her and her alone who's thinking that.
Yeah.
I think ultimately I hope not, because that's less interesting than her going, oh, this is my father. Okay, maybe I can do better with those resources than these resources.
I mean, that's
weighing that up makes better kind of storytelling for me.
We kind of think by the end of the story, though, that she will realize the colony are like not what she should be doing, or that they're doing evil things and they should be stopped.
Don't forget, Tynion keeps throwing Ulysses in there doing his crazy cackles.
Oh, of course,
know.
I think it's possible she tries to stay with Colony and shape them to be better, and maybe if she can lead them into being useful rather than just being pests.
I guess I just don't see it being that long term, because I don't necessarily see her running Colony in Batwoman's solo book, I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, that would be an interesting direction after it resolves the family stuff right now.
I mean, it could be, yeah.
Yeah, and again, you want to make it James Bond. There you go. There's her, what is it, MI6 in Bond on her?
It is, yeah. you got 6 and 5. I can never remember which one's domestic and one's international.
Right.
It's
well,
that's
CIA,
like FBI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to start the MI7. The MI7 is going to be the intergalactic forces.
That's their Man in Black.
That's the one that's so secret no one even knows what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what cracks me up now that we're at Mission Impossible 6 and Henry Cavill's there. Like
MI6, and then MI8 is the interdimensional forces.
So MI7 is basically S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
Actually, if I remember X-Men stuff, there was an MI that Excalibur was a part of.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
And it might have been 7 or 8 or something along those lines. I can't remember.
Or do we go with the X-Files thing and say MIX is the alien threats? MIX.
I mean, if you tell me the X is a Roman numeral and that's just that's the 10, I'll allow it.
this has been down a weird path. But Detective Comics was really good this week.
Yeah,
It was.
Basically what we're saying. And it was people sitting down talking, but every single part of the conversation was fascinating. It was really sort of, again, talking about what the bat means and those who wear it, should they live up to a standard. And I think it's an interesting debate. And, you know...
And credit to the art, where, you know, obviously we criticise the sheer volume of double-page spreads, but I think when it is just people sitting around a room talking, yeah, you know, it's on the artist to really, you know, bring that to life. And I think
and it gives it a sense of cinematography, because the way that you follow the words,
yeah,
they're almost like camera movements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And credit to again, just going back to the Babs argument, is it kind of fits her character in the sense that her origin is that Batman didn't like let her become Batgirl. She just became Batgirl, and then he kind of had to accept it because she was going to do it no matter what. And I kind of like that because that ties into her saying she has the choice to do what she wants.
Yeah, well, her origin doesn't revolve around tragedy like some of the others, like the Robins. So, or Batman.
I do feel like, you know, Tim being the odd one out in the Robins in that sense. You know, he isn't. He kind of chose this as well.
And he's the one who made Doom is all.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the sense that he's kind of that natural counterpart to Babs, in the same way that you know, she has that journey and so does he. And you know, this is seeing the two divergent paths that can take and how that can affect them.
Oh, and it also reestablishes origin of figuring out the Batman stuff before.
Yeah, thank God.
You know, which infuriatingly gave to Dick in New 52. So,
yeah, which I guess we're just happily ignoring now.
Fine by me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
let's do it properly.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Alright, let's move on then to Action Comics 998. Dan Jurgens writing, Will Conrad on the art. This wraps up the Zod Planet story, which is basically simply solved by Skeet, who did get blown up last issue. He basically goes into the Eradicator robots and has an army of robots that he can then fight with.
That's fantastic. God damn, I love Skeets. And I also love that Booster is put off by him having like a human-ish form, just because he's always this floating iPad, basically.
Yeah.
So they did exactly what we thought we were going to do. Like, you know, Lois and her dad are dead, but of course there's time travel involved. I will say I do like the one thing I do like about it though. I don't like it for the most part, but the one thing I do like about it is that Superman never knows that it happens. I like that it's Booster on his own who says, I'm going to go back 90 seconds and stop that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it really loses some weight, though, in the sense that, okay, was the end of last issue, and then it's just, end of this issue. Oh, yeah, I guess we should resolve that.
Well, that whole... I just feel like the whole thing with Lungamba was just kind of filler.
Yeah.
And also, you know, Booster literally just gives a whole page of a speech of never do this, no matter what, never.
Yeah.
Well,
and then immediately,
so
fine, I'll do it.
Well, but then he also knows that whenever he gets back to Vanishing Point, that if it's Rip Hunter, whoever is leading the Time Masters, is going to be doing for doing this. You know, because who knows what he's changed now. And you feel that after he makes that decision. So I'm fine with that. Him telling Superman, and it's also Superman learning the lesson. As much as you want.
If you're gonna tell me, you know, he's really this against changing anything to the point of like no matter what, nothing. I feel like that should be established long before, you know, like a page before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need a literal speech a page before the event.
I agree. I like the emotion of the moment where he's like, no, I'm doing this anyway, Skeets, get out of my way. I like the emotion of that, and just because he says something like, oh, he just watched his like first family die, I'm not letting that happen again.
Yeah, no, he just watched his world die.
His world, that was it, that was the line. Yeah. So I mean, I like that part of it, but for the most part, I mean, this arc's been kind of like, it started off well, like that first issue.
It's been super bumpy.
Yeah, and then it's been really up and down. Obviously, a couple of Brett Booth issues don't help, and then the Lois stuff's not been particularly great. It's felt like filler, and then this just feels kind of like a quick ending. Well, again, with a couple of nice elements, but for the most part, it was just kind of fight the things, get on the ship.
They could have been 4 issues instead of 6.
Oh, absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a question. You know, when they're talking about, you know, changing the Zod stuff, that like, you know, so this never happens. He's like, hey, it's fine. That's the future. You can change that still. But
Do you know what? I'm
Isn't
glad
it his
you're.
past?
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I had that same question. Is like, well, yeah, but from your perspective, this is all the past. So what dictates what's the past and what's the future if you're time traveling?
Like the way he implies it is, no matter when he is, this present day in Rebirth, in comics continuity, that is the present, no matter where you are in time. So
it's hyper time.
Yeah.
So
explain what you mean by that, Matt.
So hyper time with the way that the present works, it's not a straight line in that way. It's kind of a sliding scale. So with Booster, the fact that he came back in time, and he basically exists outside of time, so he can jump around on that sliding scale. So that's what that hyper time is.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain any of this. Like, how does that explain what the present day in comics continuity is the present day no matter what, and the past before that can't be changed, but anything after that, that can be changed. The future's not set. You can change whatever you want.
Yeah, that's always been the problem with Booster, though, right? Or even the Legion superheroes coming back and bringing Superman to their future. You know, like what is exactly the future?
I mean, yeah, it's not a unique problem to this, absolutely, but he specifically says that in this issue.
Yeah, when you point it out, I'm going to call it.
Yeah, so the fact that it's a sliding scale, that's what always, for me, that's how I reason it.
As soon as he said that, as soon as he said it's the future, you can change it from present day, all I could think was, yeah, but if they go back in time to when Krypton exploded, that's present day now for them, so now they can change whatever they want.
Well, and that was the point of that whole side thing, where they got the arcs off, and then we saw the what could have been for Clark, you know, on New Krypton. And then, because I think what they were implying is about Manhattan, like whatever changed the past and pulled Jor-El, it doesn't really subscribe to the stuff that Booster's encountered.
Yeah, we see, of course, them vanish with the blue light, so there's obviously a little bit of teasing there.
And again, you know, much like we got in Doomsday Clock, it was very much, okay, this is the last possible moment for it to have happened. Yeah. So it doesn't change anything before that moment. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it can always have happened this way. Mr. Oz has always existed and will have got to this point because, you know, as far as the timeline is concerned, he was always removed at that point.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. But the timeline's been changed. Like I said, a new timeline.
Yeah.
Because Manhattan came in and messed everything.
There's two separate times. One where, you know, he just dies and Oz doesn't exist, and one where Oz always exists. There is no, you know, it's one of those. It's completely binary.
Oh yeah, but it's not just that though. It's like that plus everything that New 52 did.
Sure.
Yeah.
That everything get changed. That's just one element of it.
Yeah. I mean, just specifically.
That's why I just go to hypertime, guys. Just go, yep, hypertime, cool, boom.
This is not working like Speed Force, Matt. You can't just say hypertime and just brush it away.
Speed Force and hypertime are almost one and the same. I mean, they're pretty intertwined.
The difference is here is that they're specifically telling us exact rules, but the rules don't even hold up until the end of the sentence.
Necessarily it's a rule as much of it's a philosophy of you can't worry too much about the future because the future is malleable. You know, so like your actions that you do right now, that's what impacts the future, not that the future is something.
If I go back in time 3 weeks, this moment right now would be the future to me. So can I change this? Because it's malleable then. But it's not malleable to us now. Now,
I think what could have been better explained, and the way I'm maybe going to interpret it here, is that when you're in your present day, for the present day you should be in, i.e. you've not travelled, the future is not set because all the actions you take in your life are what's going to shape the future anyway.
Yes.
Right? He doesn't say that, but that's how I'm maybe going to interpret it to make it work, is that, no, in your present day, where you're supposed to be Superman, you can do as much as you want to try and fix things, because that is your present day, and you're supposed to be affecting everything going forward. But going back in time, where you're not supposed to be there, is breaking the rules.
Well, that's... And again, I've brought this up a couple times, in the Booster Gold series, he goes back and tries to prevent the Killing Joke. But because, it's like Booster says here, the past is set concrete, whereas the present's a little bit more, it's kind of set, but not fully solid. So he goes back and tries to save Barbara Gordon.
Well, yeah, but that's what brings up the debate, though. He's from the future. Everything's the past. Everything should be concrete to him.
Right. Let me get to my point.
Okay.
So he goes he goes and tries to stop Joker, and every time he gets the crap kicked out of him. And that sort of punter's like, no, you can't. Certain events are locked, and you can't change those.
No, but that's jumping to different. That's a different thing, though.
That's fixed point in time rules.
That's doing Doctor Who rules.
Yeah.
Right. So, just jumping off of there, that's the whole concrete. And so, but you're right with the what is Booster's present.
You can
right?
you can have
right
either the past is concrete, or you can have fixed points and times can't be changed.
Right.
These are clashing
Can't do
here.
both. No.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, everything in the past is a fixed point in time, essentially. If the past is concrete.
I was going off of the rules John set up.
It's easy for us to say the past is concrete because we can't time travel, so we're just the past is fixed. We can't change it. In the future, we can change as much as we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah. Nonsense.
I don't know. I think you both are overthinking it about that.
I think they should just be consistent within their own issue. I don't mind when, all right, I get they're not going to line up with previous versions. It's fine, whatever. But just be consistent within your own single issue. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, because as soon as you said that line, I went, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, so Booster's a flawed character, Matt. I'm sorry, but Booster's flawed.
Yeah, and again, as if that would change how I like him.
I'm just pressing your buttons back. Calm down.
Just means he has an arc to overcome.
Yeah, I ride with the flawed characters. I love Guy Gardner.
Well, I don't know. I don't mean flawed in that they've got like issues they have to work through in the arc. They're flawed just in their mechanics, I guess.
He's a broken character. He doesn't work.
He's broken, yes.
Broken.
I think it's broke Matt. Matt's looking broken over
there. Broken Matt here.
Alright, let's move on. We spent way longer about Action Comics than I thought we would. What was it? There was a tease at the end for something. What was it? I'm forgetting now.
Well, no, he mentioned about something happening was a complete different timeline, and it kind of hinted at the Marvel, which I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, it was a Marvel joke.
The joke, the Alfred Jarvis thing.
Yeah. That's right. There's a Marvel joke.
They also hinted at a family reunion of sorts with Clark and General Lane, and him telling John that Superman's garbage.
Yeah, so that may be the next issues.
It says next the General and the Superman. So
yeah,
gotta hate General Lane, and not because he doesn't like Superman. I just don't think he's Thunderbolt Ross meets Triple J Jonah Jameson. So.
Yeah, alright, well, let's move on. Let's move on to Wonder Woman, number 40. James Robinson writing, Steven Segovia on the art.
We have to.
Do you know what's funny? Is there was the least amount of Jason in this that we've had, probably, since the start of this run.
But, and I'm going to make a wrestling reference, it might have been the less, but the fact that he shows up when you don't want him to, it just kills everything.
Don't get me wrong, yeah, him showing up at the end is a bummer, but I actually think the rest of the issue is still one of the weakest issues of this entire run.
I agree. It's so clunky and just so much dialogue and just
nothing
like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened.
It's nothing but exposition. It's just Steve and Diana just telling us things for like the whole thing.
There isn't a story. It's just this happened.
Also,
and then this happened.
And Darkseid's doing stuff in the background.
And when Jason appears at the end, it doesn't build up to like a reveal. It just comes out of nowhere. They're just ending their conversation, and Jason's like, "Hey, I'm here."
And I have a new suit, guys. Check this out.
And I'm really annoyed because my one positive about the last issue, was like, well, he's gone for a little bit now, right?
Yeah, I was thinking,
get a single goddamn issue.
That was just last issue where he disappeared, right?
Yeah, it was. I thought we were going to get, at least we're getting an arc without him, and then he comes back. I'll be like, it's fine. I'll get a little bit of that.
I feel this always happens when I get into a Wonder Woman run. Is there's stuff that I really, really like, and then that writer or that creative team leaves, and a new one takes it over, and it just tarnishes all that goodwill that I've had built up, and I stopped caring. Like reading this, I was just like, why am I still reading this?
Yeah, why are we still reading this? Other than it just Wonder Woman.
Because we were promised we were getting a new creative team like much sooner than this.
Yeah, but now we know we're not getting until at least the summer.
It was more of a hypothetical than why am I still reading this?
Yeah.
Because I just like if it was I know it's Wonder Woman, but if we got her working with like the Oddfellows instead of all this Jason stuff, that's cool. Like, remember how much talk I talked about the Shea Fontana? I would easily take more of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll take more Shea Fontana because I mean
all of this.
So some of the issues were really goofy for me, but like it was still. I mean,
Yeah, overall, I had fun with that a lot.
I mean,
Exactly.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing that really like separates this and says, "Hey, remember how much you liked Rucka and how much this isn't as good?" There's a scene here with Veronica Cale, and it's not anywhere nearly as good as any of the scenes with Veronica Cale that we had before.
No,
It just doesn't sound like. It doesn't sound like Kale.
Well, do you know what? No, do you know why?
Like
That's exactly what Robinson has done is he's taken a Superman script with Superman talking to Lex and just changed the character names. That's it.
Yeah, it's yeah, because even the way she's so. I mean, I know Kale was pissed about her daughter and like having to stay in Themyscira, but just the way she talks about it, like, "Oh, you stole my daughter from me," and that stupid island, and like, it's just like, I don't know,
Yeah,
like,
your daughter was gonna die. Like that's it. Like like it's not a black and white issue, and that's what pisses off Kale.
And she was in that. That was like an emotional moment where she knew that was happening. It's not like this was just out of the blue for her at the time.
Hell.
And then
I
just
really hate this issue.
then the different like things that attack, and just like there was a really like thin connection to lead it back to Kale. I was just like, what is going on here?
Like I said, it's a Lex Luthor issue. Like this is a Lex Luthor plot.
Man,
not necessarily a good one. But that's what it is.
Did Rucka bring in Steve calling her Angel?
I think he might have done towards the end.
I don't know.
But it wasn't like every time they talked. It was just, it was a term of endearment.
I feel like it might have been in that very final issue with them.
Yeah.
Maybe it was
but
in there.
Not like every time he talks to her, like Robinson's doing, where that's the only thing he calls her.
Yeah, it was definitely in Rucka's run, but yeah, it wasn't as frequent as it is now.
Oh, man. So rough.
Here's the thing. I don't know if I'm coming back for the next issue at this point. I really don't.
I'm in. Just out of rage.
Yeah, I'm in. I feel like, I mean, we should be covering Wonder Woman. It's one of the Trinity.
That's the thing. That's the only reason I'm still reading it this long. But
yeah, I know.
I don't like this. This is a bad book. Why am I reading this? Why am I wasting my time? Other than,
that's it. I'm going to put the silver lining. I kind of do like the dark side stuff, even though it kind of feels like it doesn't matter. Like...
He's clinging to it. He's clinging to it. I like the dark side stuff. There's something I like.
Well, that is, and just it looks cool as hell. Like the apocalypse stuff in the temple, in the middle of the jungle, But why is he establishing an apocalypse thing here, or is he just building up energy to get back there? Does anything that's happened in Miracle, or I do it every time, Mr. Miracle, have any indication of the dark side here? Because it doesn't feel so. This doesn't feel like a Lovecraftian dark side is. This is just like super mega villain on Earth. I don't know. I just talked myself out of it. I didn't like that either.
Yeah, we didn't get to say anything.
I didn't like this issue. I mean, I was just kind of plodding through it, and then the ending... Obviously, I was annoyed that Jason showed up, but what really annoyed me is it just felt like it didn't build up to it. It was just out of nowhere. It was just like, oh, Jason's back. And it had the,
Even if they would have done the cheap cliffhanger of, and you turn the page and we don't get to see who it is until next issue, at least there would have been, 2 weeks to go.
I feel like it gave us the next time, caption at the bottom, and I'm just like... You didn't give me any reason to come back. There was no build to it. There was no drama in the moment. And like we just pointed out a couple of minutes ago, Jason only disappeared last issue.
Here's the thing, it says next question answers. We're supposed to be, he's back. Where's he been? How's he got this suit? How long's time been gone for him? But
I don't care.
I don't care.
Give a shit.
No one cares.
Keep him gone.
Kill him quickly, please.
Send him to the River Styx. Send him to the underworld, retrieve Hercules, and make it Diana and Hercules, brother, sister.
It makes going that.
Do you know what? I would pay good money to read that, because Hercules was awesome. Best part of this run.
I like some of the Silver Swan stuff.
Yeah, Matt, you got no sound now.
It's the quietest Matt's ever been.
I know. I could just see his mouth moving, and there's nothing coming out. I'm like, this is nice. No.
I could tell he said Herbert now, but I did not hear it. Oh, I guess we're wrapping up Wonder Woman anyway, as you said.
Good. Am I back?
Oh, there you go. That's you.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll take us out of the Flash, number 41. or wait, was Wonder Woman 41 as well? They should be matching. Did I just not
It
choose
was
my number?
41. Yeah. Did you not say 41?
No, I said 40. I think.
No. Well,
Not bad.
So you're wishing
me
you
and
read that
Matt
issue.
list to you, isn't it?
Now, Joe, it is. It's because I always forget, because I always copy and paste like the week 4 from the previous week for this one, and I must have just put the number up 1, thinking it was just one number up instead of the usual 2 because it's double shipping. But hey, so yeah, Flash number 41. We've got James Robinson, Joshua Williamson, thankfully, writing it, and Carlos Deanda on the art. And of course, with Grodd's here, the entire city, Central City's frozen in time because of Speed Force, and Barry's not got his powers. He's probably going to be frozen eventually, but there's still like a trace of Speed Force, so he's still around and talking. We got the other speeds. We got Avery. We got new Wally, original Wally. They're trying to figure things out. And as previously, I think this issue continued the general goodwill that I think the book's been building up. I love the fact that it's jumping between the two main Flashes. You know, there's narration from Barry for a while. He's getting a little bit tetchy. He's feeling naked without his powers, and he wants his powers back. You know, it goes. Obviously, my favourite section is probably Wally going around the city and talking about how he misses the city and how he talks about the florist who said, you know, he's like, oh, but I took Linda there and I got her flowers, and he told me, don't get the roses, everyone gets the roses, so I got her lilies, and that ended up being her favourite.
Got her tulips.
Tulips, that was the one. The point was that he changed the flowers, and that was her favourite.
Yeah.
The actual flower was neither here nor there, but yes, Matt.
This makes me miss this. No, this just makes me miss the Wally series so much.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I like Barry. Like, I tend to love all the Flash characters, right? And you know, and I miss Bart, but young Wally, he's come really to his own, and we've gotten Avery. But man, Wally West is my Flash, and so to see him going through here, it made me feel nice. But then I always remember Zooms at the end of this tunnel, like, and that's scary.
And obviously Barry and Wally have a bit of, just again, a bit of a disagreement, because Barry sends away the younger Flashes. He's like, hey, get out here. And of course they ignore him, like, hey, let's go try and talk to Mera. We might be able to win her back over. I don't see that ending well, but that's their plan. And of course, Wally ends up fighting with the speed god. What's his face? Raijin. I say it a different way every time I say it.
That's cool.
But he ends up fighting him, and they obviously want this lightning wand that Barry's got a hold of, because Grodd needs it to like finish his Speed Force storm like beacon device
transfer.
There you go, that whole thing. And they basically also figure out that when he does what he's going to do, it'll take all their Speed Force from them as well. So all the Flashes will have their speed drained.
Well, and if it doesn't get solved quick, the Central City will hit absolute zero. Yeah, and that's it for everybody. So I like that Williamson added that ticking clock.
Yeah, no, it's good, especially when you've got a character like the Flash and everything's about time. Adding a ticking clock actually really thematically works with
definitely
the character.
Oh man!
So
I think it especially works now with Barry, you know, not able to make time last longer than it should. He's running on regular speed, and he's struggling with that.
Iron Heights is outside the city limits, right? Because it's out on the island.
I assume so.
I think it's still in the bubble though, right? Because Kristen's still frozen. She's there.
No, because he talks to her.
No, he doesn't. He walks around her and he talks about her. He narrates about her.
Oh, crap. Okay.
I think he says something to her, but she's frozen in time.
I read that quick. This is the last thing I read today. So I was trying to get through it before we started.
Because it's like that little sort of like somber moment as he's like, you know, saying how he, like, well, I mean, that sounds like he's confessing romance, but he's talking about how he feels.
Yeah.
As she's like standing there frozen. Yeah, they're all frozen.
Oh, they are, aren't they? That's why it's okay. So,
because basically it builds up. He goes to Iron Heights because he's got this really bad idea to get August's help, get Godspeed on the case, because he still has his speed. Godspeed can help.
Yeah.
So
well, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. You know, so
and I think
if there's anybody that knows a thing or two about stealing Speed Force, it is Godspeed.
And we've said this before, but he's really played the long game with this run, and bringing in Godspeed here, where we've had the idea that maybe he could be redeemed. He's shown some some nice qualities recently, and then this is like might be a terrible idea, but it might work. Like it might be the other speed ally they need.
Yeah, definitely. It's he's shown potentially some redemption is possible for him, so it makes sense for Barry to go to this.
Yeah, and it's setting up the conflict as well, where Barry seems to be like desperate, like he's naked without his powers, and he's feeling the pressure and the he's desperate almost to like solve this, and he wants his powers back. And Wally kind of calls him out on it. So we're kind of setting up the seeds for how, maybe not why Flash War starts, but at least why Zoom is able to manipulate them into a war. It's like the seeds are there.
They're a little antagonistic already, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's,
also,
that's
all
cool.
this talk about Barry being Barry before the powers, and he didn't like who that was. Has that always been a thing? Because that seemed new to me, even as a long-time Flash reader.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that core idea. I think because a big part of what this last couple of arcs have done is it's the idea that because even what Grodd and everyone was saying to him at the start of the arc is without your powers you were nothing. Like and even the idea earlier on in the run where it talked about the Flash being the biggest villain to Barry Allen. Like that's what ruins his life. So it's really examining what it means to his life and what he is with and without the powers. And I think that's kind of the debate that we're bringing up here.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think because he feels helpless, he feels like he's useless without his powers because he can't just go and save Iris. He can't go do other things. And of course, that's the other moment I really liked. Of course, was when Wally sees Iris and he's like. So I think we're going to end this arc maybe, or maybe during Flash War we'll get him telling Iris of everything.
I think so. Yeah.
I think we're building to that.
Yeah. I think that might be something that incites Flash War of him wanting to, Barry saying no. Yeah,
possibly. Yeah, so that's the reason. That could be the big cliffhanger at the end of this arc that kind of leads into to the end Flash War.
So if she remembers everything, right? If he basically wakes her up, does she remember everything like he does? So like the Linda stuff.
Yeah, presumably.
Iris is one of those Crux characters. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I wonder if it won't wake her up right away, and she'll just like not sure if she can believe it. Like it'll sound so bizarre and strange.
Yeah.
Or maybe they do the whole route where much like we've seen with other characters, where it does just wake them up. I wonder like. Then she remembers being married to Barry, and like
that's what I was thinking. Once you do that,
about.
you have to introduce all the Barry stuff that she remembers.
But that could cause conflict. Though maybe that's what starts the war because she's then pissed at Barry for not telling her. And but to be fair, I think in Barry's defense, how do you tell someone that by the way there was an alternate reality where we were married and like we had all this history? Like that's a lot to try and elope in someone. That's intimidating.
Yeah, I totally get why Barry wouldn't have done it, but like we all know how Iris reacts to things. How did she react when she found out he was the Flash? You know,
she killed Zoom or Zoom.
Professor Zoom.
Yeah, that one. Thawne.
Yeah,
Reverse Flash.
Thawne and Zolomon. Let's just say Thawne and Zolomon because it gets confusing.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, I like that. But just the fact that New 52 had the Daniel West Reverse Flash, and then there's Professor Zoom, and then there's Zoom, and then just they all have the same.
Yeah.
I was mostly a fan of the art. But it's clear that this was a fill-in for G. Domenico in the sense that trying to do a similar style.
I think the style worked though. I think the overall look of the everyone being frozen was pretty cool. Honestly, my only complaint, I thought the colouring on like original Wally's suit was just a little bit too
pink.
A bit too pink.
Yeah, there was that, and then there was a couple of times the speedsters when they were in speed mode, their front foot would look huge. If you go to the very final page, look at Godspeed's front foot. It looks so. It looks so oversized compared to the rest of him. Like if you look at his foot and then his head, it's just like okay, that's too big.
Well, what I also liked about the arc, like Pete was saying, it's like G. Domenico, but it also feels like Porter. Like it's in the sweet spot. It feels like Flash.
It's kind of in between.
Then you pick up on those flaws, like Connor saying.
Don't get me wrong. It's pretty good, but there's just a couple of things that stop it being as good as it could be.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I'd be all for seeing Deanne on more stuff. I'm not familiar with them.
No, me either. Which is why like as I say here, I don't know if this is his usual style or if it's more okay. This is what G. Domenico has been doing for this arc. Let's try and emulate that and get in that zone. If that's the case, it's done a very good job at emulating that for sure, though, because it definitely feels consistent.
Yeah. All right, that'll take us on to Batgirl number 20. Hope Larson writing, Sam Basri on the art. This is the second part of the Cold Snap plot, which, I mean, still disappointed there's no Cold Snap in it. But, of course, we had she had the coordinates to go and find the lab that her friend was working at. She went there. She arrives here there. It turns out whoever's doing all this hacking stuff has also hacked her GPS to take her somewhere else. And I did get a chuckle when she goes in the building and finds out it's just storing a lot of bat shit. I thought that was pretty funny.
That is someone had some fun with that joke.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny joke. But then basically it turns out the thing that they stole from this lab was basically a device that makes people around you trust you.
A trust gun, I believe she calls it.
I think it was
Trust Ray.
Trust Ray. Yeah.
Okay.
And she's sort of looking in, and she does the whole thing where she's got a really good memory. And he's like, I don't have any footage. He was wearing a mask, but we have audio. Does the audio work with the memory? And it does that cool thing. It's almost like a Daredevil-esque like couple of panels where the face forms in her head, and you see it's actually Black Sun, Penguin's kid,
Ethan,
and it's like, oh shit, okay, I'm glad they brought them back in for this two-parter. That's just good fun. It ties in with the snow because penguins and all the rest of it, and obviously Penguin was in the last issue and he was having fun, and it becomes Batgirl then tracking him down and dealing with all this stuff, and really, I had more fun with this. I thought all of this was the fight was cool.
She falls for the trust ray, and then as she's leaving, she's like,
"Oh, I love that."
Oh, damn it! They were using it in there.
Something smells fishy, and they're like, "Oh, I'd be just out of that fish over there." She's like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense."
Do you know what? I hate to admit this, but see when she says, "Oh, you're right, bye," and she leaves. When I got just that panel on its own, I went, "That felt like a character. What's going on?" And
then that was terrible.
And then I turned the page, and then she's like, "Damn it, that was the trust ray!" And I went, "Oh, that's really funny now. That's really funny."
Yeah.
I went back in red.
That's it. She's just like, "Oh, my mistake. Nothing to see here." Yeah. And then she's walking off. She's literally walking down the street whistling. Like that's suspicious. Oh, nothing going on here. And then, oh shit, trust Ray. God damn it.
Yeah.
I think Hope Larson's done nothing but get better when she's been writing this book.
I read this and the previous issue back to back just before because I missed that week.
Yeah, because it was a Doomsday Clock week. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that book got skipped for whatever reason. I thought that issue was fine, but it was clearly all set up for this. Whereas this actually paid off so much stuff that it makes it better in retrospect.
Yeah, no, I had a blast with all this. Like I said, that Trust Ray moment, her reaction, the art's great throughout. I think it does a good job of continuing the style that Wild Goose is.
Yeah, that was a concern. Obviously, we knew Wild Goose was coming off, but obviously, I think he did the last issue, even starting this arc. So you kind of there's always a concern mid-arc.
And honestly, I mean, I'm sure if I go back and compare them, like side by side, I'll see the differences. But honestly, from memory, it feels consistent enough that I'm not feeling a difference. No,
the tone is very similar. What I will say is we've lost something, which I'm actually a fan of. That we've lost this is all the pop art dots.
Oh yeah,
that Wild Goose used on the backgrounds a lot. It was the one thing about his art I was not a big fan of, but I didn't notice any at all in this issue.
Yeah, Black Sun's got a new suit. I think it looks a little bit better. And Penguin's going to run for mayor. So that's the whole thing. He's got his trust rate because he wants the people to like him, so they'll elect him. Is basically the idea. So not shady at all. So we get some fun fight. I really like, again, just going back to like Larson's like voice for Batgirl, the thought bubbles, the way she like thinks her way out of problems. There's just something so fun. It reminds me a little bit of Miss Marvel. Kamala Khan's book. It's got a little bit of that vibe going for it.
I never read that.
And that's a compliment for the record.
I'm gonna trust you.
I've read 2 volumes of that so far, and it's given me similar vibes to that in terms of the
I've
tone.
only ever heard good things about it, so I obviously I assumed it was a compliment, but I can't speak to the actual comparison.
But yeah, and she kind of like solves the whole thing. She drops in and exposes Penguin, and
as a good punch.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about the final page, because the final page, she deals with this. It's a 2-parter. She's dealt with the crisis. And of course they have a whole thing where she feels a little bit guilty because remember when she defeated Black Sun the first time, she overcharged his suit and it basically fried him, and he's got a lot of scarring and stuff. We see his face and it's kind of it's just a little bit grotesque. And
there's that great joke with Penguin too. He goes, "You gave me a face only a father could love." Big was like, "Love."
Yeah, love question mark. Yeah. It's a really funny joke. But she goes in. He says, "You've got scars too under that mask, I bet. Like whatever's under there." And throughout the issue, there was a couple of moments where she's talking about how like Burnside's kind of changed a little bit since she moved here, and she feels that she's grown up a little bit. And it ends with her looking in the mirror, and she's like, "I'm not a kid anymore, and I don't want to be." And then that's the end of the issue. And it's interesting. Like, I wonder where Larson's going with this. Like, what are we doing with Babs?
And with the tag of family reunion too. It's wondering if they're gonna bring in the mother stuff. That Simone had interest.
Honestly, I'm really glad about this because to get Babs mature a little bit, because I think that's typically how we're used to reading her, right? Up until New 52, she was the mature one. Yeah. And even for most of the New 52, or, up until the shift in the 30s, she was still relatively mature sounding and feeling.
Yeah.
And then the shift happened, and she became not childish, but younger.
I'm glad they're doing this. I wonder if this is because obviously we're getting to this time now where No Justice and the Superman relaunches are coming in. Yeah. I'm wondering if this is because obviously we're just going into an arc now that will probably finish maybe in July-ish, June. But it depends if it's 4, 5, 6 issues, whatever we're doing. I wonder if there is going to be kind of a soft status quo shift in Batgirl then as well. Does she take a sort of role where she wants to maybe work with the other Batgirls? Maybe that's just my hope speaking. But if she is wanting to mature, does she want to look out for other people? Does she want to
move into a bit more of a mentoring role?
Yeah, I could almost see it.
She wants to go from player to coach.
Yeah. And not even necessarily quit being Batgirl, but just be the leader in a team as Batgirl. Because Birds of Prey is ending, we know that much. So maybe that'll be kind of what we should.
No, she really wasn't the leader. It was Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, but they all were, pretty equal on that team with Huntress and Canary. So I don't know. I mean, it's funny that I remember the outcry about Killing Joke and how before all of this, that arc, I forget who worked on it, kind of tried to erase stuff from Killing Joke. And people threw a fit. Remember? And I wasn't in the fit category, but I was like, well, no, that's part of her character history. But the further we get from her ever being Oracle, and this version of Babs we get as she's kind of the responsible one, I kind of like this version more of, Killing Joke might have happened, but it wasn't her defining.
I think the funny thing is, I think most people would agree to like Babs being around. I think what murkies it is that after Killing Joke happened, and Oracle became such a good character and a good part of the DCU that people love it so much that it feels like, oh, we like that thing a lot, and now it's been taken away. I
think that the way that they go here is they have her mature into that Oracle type role. Yeah. But just take it rather than do it through tragedy. More, this is her choice that she gets to.
Yeah, maybe. And I don't necessarily think though that she has to give up Batgirl to do it in a weird way.
Oh, I don't either.
Agree.
Yeah. But I like that, because that was my main thing. I never wanted to lose Oracle because I love the development we got with her as Oracle. And then if you say that Killing Joke never happened, you're kind of taking that away. Here, though, she gets to become that role.
Yeah, because
Batgirl.
I got to the end of this, and I got to that last page, and I just kind of went, huh. This feels like it's building to she's got plans to kind of
It feels like a shift is coming, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So I'm curious to see what that is. Whether that's building up to the end of Larson's run, or if she actually has the plans to go through with some big shift herself.
I hope it's the latter, because I think Larson started strong, but has got better.
Yeah, no, I agree. So hopefully we'll see what goes on there. But hey, so that's Batgirl. Great issue.
Also, Penguin is a biter.
Penguin is a biter. Yes.
he bites Batgirl's arm in the middle of the fight.
There's so much
Penguin.
There's so much fun going on in there, and just also there's commentary about how we rely on technology so much. Is that's the Penguin's plan? Is everyone always looks at their phones and they'll trust what's on their phones more than what we're seeing outside. So if they weren't supposed to get a snowstorm and they got one, then there's something wrong with the weather, not with their phones.
Yeah, and also obviously it ties in because everything with Black Sun's whole plan in the first place was to use the apps to kind of convince people to do things and kind of herd them like sheep. So the whole idea of manipulating them with a truth ray is kind of in his MO. That seems to be kind of his character. So as a sort of character, if he keeps coming back every so often, that'll be his type of thing. Is he always tries to manipulate people with technology?
And we're building a Babs Rogue Gallery.
Yeah, he's a good addition to that for sure.
Yeah. It's related to Penguin, but it does feel like a Babs villain, which is pretty cool. So we'll move on. We'll move on to Teen Titans number 17. Benjamin Percy back after that awful issue we got last month with Scott Eaton on the art, which kept the style of the art, which was good, because I was initially a little bit worried. I was like, oh no, it's not Koi Pham or the other usual artists, but no,
looks good.
Does
a lot of Beast Boy.
A lot of Beast Boy. It's the start of an art called "It Ain't Easy Being Green."
No, but yeah, this. Sometimes I feel like we just lose Beast Boy as the Joker, not Joker, Jokester.
Yeah, you can't say Joker in DC, Matt. That means something very specific.
Yeah. he's the jokester of the team, and so when we get to see him actually have feelings, and him have this whole, am I changeling? Am I Beast Boy? Like, I feel like an outsider on this team, even though, he's never. I don't feel like anyone's ever treated him any different.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's just Scar. He's a he messes around too much. But other than that, so I like that it goes into his psychology.
Yeah, he goes off on his own. He wants to do his own thing, and he ends up basically being like seduced into helping this like group of teens who have like a tech thing going on, and
it's very Peter Pan.
Yeah, and they basically they trick him because the girl, we see her troop appearance later because she's got like a fancy hologram thing, but she appears like as a girl that's got a Beast Boy t-shirt and green hair, as if she's like a super fan. To sort of like tide them over, but it ties into the plot with the rest of the Titans because the rest of the Titans end up saving a school bus that goes off a bridge, but that happens because the kid who's got these like VR goggles, he's playing video games and he's picked on, but it does something to him where it almost takes control, like it hacks him essentially, and he like tries to drive the bus off the thing. I do want to criticize something though, the time of this, because we see the bus like go off the bridge, right? Like it drives off the bridge. And then in the same page as we see it going off the bridge, we see like Damien's like, hey, an alert! There's a school bus going over a bridge, and we see it's already halfway over the bridge in his little like sort of footage of it on his little armband thing.
By the time we get there, it's still halfway.
Yeah, and I'm like, they're not the Flash. I mean, Kid Flash is there, but like everyone else is still getting there in time. Like I don't know.
It's a really tall bridge.
Yeah, it felt a bit weird to me that they were able to get there, but. The actual way that they solve it, I really like. Yeah. I like the power use because Aqualad basically makes like a hard water bridge, and then like it goes on the bridge. It actually drives in the water. It's a pretty fun visual.
A ramp. Yeah. He creates like a ramp, and then with Kid Flash, and they all solve that. But
in fact, my favourite line of the whole book is after they save the kids. Raven comes off the bus, looks at the kids, and says, "Let me swallow your fear, children." And Kid Flash is like, "Hey, Raven, that's creepy as shit. Don't say that."
Yeah, that's not a good look.
Yeah. So, but so they're setting all that up, and then Beast Boy's being kind of like roped into this thing, and we see they convince him, "Hey, you've got Instagram followers. Why don't you like play the game and you can like tweet it out and you can get us the attention we want." And he takes the thing, he puts on the tech, and the whole thing ends with him. You see his eyes go the same way as the kids. So now it's this group of kids that did the bus thing, and now they're controlling Beast Boy seemingly. Meanwhile, the other Teen Titans are kind of at the hospital and figuring out, oh, he had this chip in him, like this kid. There's something going on. So you kind of put it together before it happens. You kind of as soon as you get to that, you're like, okay, so that's probably what is happening to Beast Boy. So Beast Boy's been taken control of at the end.
And the way they get this chip in, it's like an inhaled thing, and there's no way. I don't care how cool the tech is. I'm not inhaling something through my nose.
It's basically one of those like little breathers, like over the face. We've got an oxygen mask, right? But it's on like a gun. So you put the oxygen mask on your face, and then you fire the gun, so it fires up your nostril. Yeah, this is a whole thing. It was a pretty good issue. I didn't think it was amazing, but I thought the plot was solid, had some fun moments, and it was night and day better than last issue.
Yeah, It was a step up. And as someone that's grown to love Starfire, it was rough having to read that. But then we jump here, and it did pretty good. Like I like seeing all these guys interact again. Yeah. Just like with Kid Flash, giving Damien crap for firing him.
And he's like, "Oh wait, over that? Yeah, that was ages ago."
Yeah,
that was basically Damien's reaction. I like that because the cover's like all them leaving the tower with like their boxes of stuff, and it was like, and I was like, wait, are they splitting up as well? And they're not actually splitting up. It's just the building's wrecked because a Superboy exploded inside it, so they have to go somewhere else. But they actually make a point of saying, "Hey, we're still a team, even if we don't have this building. We're still we're still a team." So
until no justice.
Until no justice, and we'll see how we shake up. Obviously, there's going to be 18 Titans team afterwards. We'll just have to see. What
but maybe not
happens
this iteration. That's fine.
So
fun. It's why I like Teen Titans. It's a nice, fun, breezy read.
It is. It's nice and breezy. Alright, so we'll move on to Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps number 39. Robert Venditti writing, Rafa Sandoval on the art. Something Zod's happening. I'm not reading this, it's you two that's reading this, so by all means, take it away.
So to get us caught up, the Green Lanterns, they get a distress signal kind of from this planet. So Hal and Kyle go down there, and while they're off there, John's talking to the Guardians, and the Guardians basically want their old role back. And his whole thing is like, look, we didn't go through all of this mess with you guys to redo the status quo. But Ganthet's like, yeah, but that's why we're the Guardians. Like, we there's a way to do this. And John, of course, he's not having any of this. And he's trying to convince the Guardians to take a back seat and kind of let John and the Green Lanterns run the Green Lanterns. And they can be there in like a
advisory role.
An advisory role, but ultimately they've been doing pretty good without them. No need to rock the boat. Yeah. But so Hal and Kyle go to this planet, and it turns out it's Jakul from Action Comics, although it's in the past, and we get to where Zod and
is only just on there. Well, relatively recently.
Yeah, and so, but you find out that this is a system, a planetary system that has 2 yellow suns, so it's amped up the Kryptonians. So they've been able to basically appear as gods to these more primitive people of Jakul.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they've instilled like this dictatorship.
Yeah.
Where they're mining sunstone.
Right. And we're jumping into this in the middle of the arc here, but something we should mention is Zod has taken the rings off Hal and Kyle, and he is.
Well, yeah. So I was going to get there. So they show up. They basically tell Zod, "You can't be doing this. We're taking you in. You belong in the Phantom Zone." And they end up fighting. And that's how you find out that the sunstone that they're mining can pierce the constructs.
Yeah.
Of course, that's a problem. I mean, we can't have that. And he ends up taking the rings off of, with the help of Eradicator, Kyle and Hal. But of course, those Green Lanterns don't go down that hard. And, Hal's ring he forged out of pure will.
Yeah, as he keeps reminding us.
Yep. Because we need that, because that's what Venditti did. He's very proud of it, clearly. And Kyle ends up just getting severely beaten by Ursa. And
yes.
And he's so worse for wear. Like
he is bandaged up. Like he is falling apart, basically.
And Hal's like, all right, they took your ring, but my ring's different because my ring, like, it's me. He's able to basically call to it, like it's Thor and Mjolnir.
Yeah, and it breaks out of the containment field, goes through Eradicator's face, which looks awesome.
Yeah,
and then it flies to him.
That does sound pretty good. I'm gonna lie.
Yeah. And it goes to Kyle, and it supercharges Kyle. So now you have like the most hopeful of the Green Lanterns, right? He's the star-eyed artist.
Yeah.
With Hal Jordan's basically testosterone ego,
because obviously the ring is part of Hal. It actually it infuses some of Hal's personality into Kyle. But then it's we have often criticized in this room when we covered this earlier. The Venditti often didn't get Hal, and here he takes those ideas of Hal and turns it up for comedy, so it's perfectly fine.
And it paints with the broadest brush.
Yeah, you just have to be super aggressive and ready to go at everything.
Yeah, and so in this issue, Kyle finally gets back to Mogo, and John's still talking with Ganthet and the council, and they're basically like, well, we can't get involved in this,
Yeah, he was punished under Kryptonian law, not ours.
Yeah, and he's like, well, no, but he broke out of the Phantom Zone. He deserves to be put back into a prison. And basically, Ganthet's like, well, he kind of Yoda's John, and is like, well, you make the decision then. Like, if you think what's right, and John goes and does it anyways in the face of the rest of the Guardians.
Yeah.
But so Kyle comes back, and it turns out his will is exceeding everything, and it's kind of causing chaos all over Mogo. So they put him in a containment field where now he just becomes like a caricature.
Yes, you can put the fighter pilot in containment. You can't contain the fighter pilot.
Gardner's kind of like, what does that even mean?
No, that's the thing. Kyle says that, and Kyle goes immediately after. He goes, wait, that didn't even make sense. And Kyle, the guy's like, it's fine. It's just hell. Let the hell happen.
Yeah, and so he's always like, man, Kyle, like, now we go get beers and, like, you're cool. It has this whole, like, I like this new you. But
Yeah.
with that, Guy and Kyle form up this squad to go to Jakul to take, to save Hal. Because Hal would do the same for them, you know. And, you got Space Ape in there. You got the guy who's made of basically fire.
Yeah, you got Kilowog's in there.
Kilowog, because, Hal's, like, one of his good buddies, and he's the one that says he would have done it for them. So, yeah, basically this wild bunch of Green Lanterns going to this mining planet, and it feels very much like a Western.
It does, and this is how it ends with them showing up. They kind of take out some of the army. Kyle just rushes in there and, overcharges everything. And, obviously, Guy's very impressed. He's like, hey, this is cool. Keep that up. But then Zod and his family show up. And it's like, that's the big cliffhanger. It's like, okay, it's this team of Lanterns versus Zod and his family.
Yep.
That does sound somewhat interesting. I was just thinking about this now, that Venditti at this point must be hitting 70 issues of Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Started around 20, 21, 22.
Yeah, because I think like 20 was like the end of Johnsy's run, and then like 21, 22 was the start of his run.
Yeah, so he did about 30 odd issues before.
And didn't he do some like core and stuff as well? He did one of the other side books for a little bit as well.
Did he?
It was for like an arc.
He plotted one of the I think he plotted Core, and someone else wrote it when he first took over.
Because that was the John stuff. That was when John was really coming to his own as the leader. And they did the stuff with the Durlans. That was all
stuff. Yeah,
plotted by Venditti.
Still 70 issues. That's...
Yeah, and so this is probably my favorite stuff he's been doing now. Is I go through these ways where I don't care about it and I lose track, but then Connor will tell me, "Oh, this is great," and I'll go back and get caught up. So this last arc,
it has its moments where it's like, this is fine. There's Venditti doing it's not bad, but it's just kind of average. And then it'll do something like, this is amazing. Like, this is like, just genuinely like really good Green Lantern stuff that he's nailing.
And I've always wanted them to be the space cops and get away kind of from the space opera. And now the last two arcs, they've kind of done that with. In the last arc, they had to go save the Guardians from the controllers.
Yeah.
And so they all lead in there, and that's where we got the whole Four Corpsmen and who's Ric Flair and all that fun stuff in the undercurrent. And now here we have, it's a Western, and they get to be like the new sheriffs or the Texas Rangers coming in to save this mining town. And it's not that space opera-y. The Guardians are there, but you're not getting any of these blue core and yellow core.
The other core have not been mentioned in a long time. Since obviously they were a big part of the early stage of this run with the yellows, but that's gone now. That's all dealt with.
So, and I highly recommend picking up this arc just because, it's nice seeing someone else write Zod, because I've only really seen Jurgens in Rebirth write him. So
this feels very consistent though. Like, it feels like the same Zod. It feels like where we left him.
Well, and it's a trip to read this, and you get the future. You get the present here, and then you get the future in action. Yeah. And if that has any bearing, so like if he ends up going, they end up the Lanterns defeat him, and they manage to get him into a science cell, then
it's like, did they change that future there, or does he go back to this planet in the future?
Right. Exactly. So it just adds some more of that headache, but I'm loving what's going on right now. So I hate Connor for getting me back into it, because that's another book.
I can't help it, because every so often I'll be reading it, I'll be like, oh damn, this is awesome. Matt will enjoy this. I'll just go, hey Matt, there's this cool moment, and you're like, damn it.
Deep down, I appreciate it, but like,
just giving you more
busier weeks.
I like how he's done it like 3 times though. Like, there's like been 3 times where you've dropped the book and he brings up something that's going on, and you're like, oh, I kind of want to come back for that.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that. Oh wait, what do you mean, Guy and Kilowog, Guy and Arcelo have a knockout drag out without rings? Like, no, what do you mean they're doing? Saving the Guardian? Like, so but I realized how much I had missed Green Lanterns jumping back in, because I love the Green Lanterns book that we got right now with Jessica.
It is the Simon and Jessica book, not a Green Lantern.
Exactly, and this is the stuff that I came up on that I really just enjoy, and it felt good. Like, I'm reading this, I'm getting caught up on the weekend I was on the show, just going, God damn, I love these characters.
Yeah, and as much as this focuses on the 4 Earthmen, it feels like a core book because
Yeah.
all the supporting cast of the core are pretty involved throughout the run, off and
Well, I
on.
mean, from Salak, I forget who that doctor is that they saved, and
Yeah.
he's the new, or he or she's the new doctor.
Yeah, who was engaged to Salak but called it off because Salak was too emotional.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's just fun little stuff in there, and then the stuff with the Guardians too. I like that finally they're not just the shadowy board.
They've got a role again, haven't they?
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
good.
Well, I guess with that, we'll move on to the first issue of a mini-series that started this week. Mera, Queen of Atlantis, #1. Dan Abnett writing, Len Medina on the art. This is, directly spinning out of the main book because we left the last issue of Aquaman where he gets her back up to the shore. It's like, okay, you're going to be the Queen of Atlantis, but you're still ill from all that stuff with the magic and the thorns. You still can't breathe underwater. You will heal. You'll go back to being full strength, but it's going to take time. So you're surface bound until then. And he's going back to fight Wrath. So that's going to be the main Aquaman book. Presumably the next arc in Aquaman is going to be Aquaman dealing with Wrath and fighting for Atlantis down there. Whereas Mera's got her own book for a minute, 6 issues up on the surface, doing her thing. And also, I don't know if I say surprisingly, but unexpectedly brings in an Orm, Ocean Master.
Hey, go back to last week where I brought in, hey, what's Orm been up to? It'd be cool if they touched on that soon. And then I opened this book, and they're in Louisiana, which is the last time I remember Orm being brought up was post Forever Evil. I think it was in that. When he had escaped.
You're probably right. I mean, I did read that stuff, but the last time I really remember was obviously during the Atlantis Justice League crossover, all that.
Yeah. So
what do we call it?
He escaped. Where do they keep the Suicide Squad? Belle Reve.
Yeah.
He had escaped the swamp of Belle Reve and is living somewhere in Louisiana, and we catch back up with him, and he's adapted to surface life.
He's got a soon-to-be wife, and he's got a step-kid who he's looking after.
Call him Dad.
He's all excited. He's happy to have the home life, and he's hearing the news in the background, what's going on. Like the surface world's kind of worried. Oh, the Atlantis are having some kind of war. What if it spills onto our countries and stuff? And he's kind of like he's being distracted. You see that he generally has a thing for his wife to be. I mean, I don't know if they're actually married. He just says that they're talking about marriage, but they're living a domestic life. He seems to be living there. They're completely, living together. Living as a couple, and so we go away from that, and then we go to Mera's plot, and then we come back at the end, and we have that thing at the end where you see the reflection in the mirror as the Ocean Master outfit, and he's like, oh, like, I want to stay here, but it's time to go. I'm curious to see if they actually do something here with Ocean Master where they really give a bit more depth. Where I really I'll feel the tragedy of no, just stay with the family because you were happy and you weren't causing trouble. Just go back to that.
Yeah, well, because I kind of got that in Johns' run with him, as when they kind of reestablished him, is he wasn't so much a bad guy as much as he was trying to do what was right for Atlantis. Because that's where he was raised, and then you had Volko, who didn't believe he should be on the throne, kind of manipulate the events of Atlantis. So what was that called? Was it just War with Atlantis?
Maybe I can't remember.
The Atlantis War? I can't remember, but so he was never like an out and out just straight up bad guy, which I always kind of like when they do that. So here, like Pete said, you feel that tragedy. Like if he leaves his family, and where does that put him now with Mera, who's set to be queen? Yeah.
Did Conrad not read this? He's been very quiet.
I gave up 6 pages in. I thought it was awful. I thought it was a slog to read. I was reading this, all the caption boxes. That it was just like, oh no, this is not working for me at all. I thought I got through the Orm stuff. I was like, okay. I thought, okay, maybe that's just what the style for this bit is. And then I read like 3 pages of the Mera stuff. I was like, no, I'm out. I can't do this.
I'll counter that with saying I actually quite like the third person narration.
Yeah, so did I.
Give it, and it was just awkward and clunky to me to read.
I disagree. There was a couple of moments where it went into like a flashback, and it felt a bit clunky there to me. But
I didn't get to that.
Generally speaking, I like the third person kind of stuff.
I realized I don't enjoy her origin. Like I've come to like Mera from Abnett writing, because she kind of, she was really a secondary character when Chance was writing the book. Like, she was kind of just there, and we got that super strong scene in Blackest Night where it's like, I never wanted kids, and that's where she, manifests the rage of the Red Lanterns and whatnot. But other than that, she was just kind of there. So I like that Abnett kind of turned her into this diplomat for Atlantis, because she's always been an outsider. She is from Zebel. But
oh yeah, I was going to say my favourite scenes of the issue with Mera were probably the one with Superman and Wonder Woman, where she's kind of like saying, "Hey, don't interfere," and like Chula's like, "Hey, she's sick. She's not at full strength." And I actually kind of like the fight as well with the eel.
With Eel.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty decent fight. But I also really like the scene where she goes to the what was her position, the woman at the embassy or the government. She was like the secretary of something or other.
She was anyways, it was like Secretary of the State. She worked in the State Department.
So, something like that. But she obviously she was there in a sort of ambassador capacity talking to her.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because it was talking about how she feels uncomfortable being called Your Highness and she's not really like sure how to respond to that. And I did get a little chuckle when she says, "Oh yeah, like in Zebel when we deal with something like this, we'd have a trial by combat to like have this debate." And the woman who's sitting there's like, "Well, I'm happy we're not doing that." And she's like, "Yeah, you're quite right. This is way more civil." Well, not just that. You would beat the crap out of me, so I'm happy we're not doing that. I would lose a lot. So there was a little bit of humour in there. I don't think it was as I don't think it flowed as well as what the recent Aquaman book's been doing.
No.
I would definitely say that. But I actually do kind of like the third-person narration. I thought it gave it a different kind of tone than the main book.
Yeah. Yeah, set it apart. I like that.
Yeah. No,
I thought it was a fun read. Like, I helps that I'm really enjoying the goings-on of Aquaman right now. So, but, I see Conrad put the cover on as his phone wallpaper, so I thought, oh, man, he really enjoyed this. And I was like, oh, no, I just really like the art.
The variant cover is rather pretty.
The agile one. This is the thing. I'm not against third-person narration. I've seen it before. I've enjoyed it. I just felt there's so much of it here. It just throws it at me, and it's like it just felt like a slog. I was like, nah, I'm not reading this.
No, I was fine with it. I didn't think it was a great issue. I thought it was solid enough. I liked the arm stuff. I liked a lot of Mera's stuff. I did think the flashbacks to like her training and like just sort of like recounting some of her origin were a little bit clunky, but.
I don't care about the Zebel assassin thing.
We're kind of past that at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. So now I'm curious to see what this is actually going to be doing over the next. Obviously, Orm's going to be a factor. I mean, that's why they're setting them up here in the first issue. But
I assume it's 6 issues. I assume this next arc of Aquaman, where he's off against Wrath, is going to be 6 issues as well.
Yeah,
so they'll end at roughly the same time. So they'll come back together into the main book. After that arc.
Yeah, I would expect so, yeah. So, hey. I could even see Aquaman being 5 issues, and then, like, the conflict ends before the final Mera issue. And then, like, Well,
I mean, because Mera is out before that arc starts, assuming the schedule, stays exactly the same as it is now, you could have the 5th issue of that, then the final issue of Mera, and then the last issue of Aquaman. So, that would still tie up. So you could have it, so you could have it work that way with the schedule that way now.
It just depends how many issues that arc is. We don't know off the top of our head. So that was Mera. It was decent. I'm going to keep reading it. I feel like it's a nice companion to the main book. So
me too.
Well, speaking of Dan Abnett, though, we have one final book, and that is the Silencer issue 2. Dan Abnett writing, John Romita Jr. on art. What's funny is Connor gave up on Mera, but Matt didn't like Silencer, so I assume you didn't read Silencer issue 2.
Nope.
But Connor has read Silencer issue 2, I assume.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, I read that Silencer issue 2 as well. I was pleasantly surprised with the first issue. Obviously, I'm looking forward to Bogdanovich taking over the art, but hey, we'll go from here. So, issue 2, we left off in the cliffhanger where she's got her suit on. It's out in the suburban, near her house, and she's fighting this assassin, and it all kind of happens, and she's in her quiet bubble,
Yeah.
This issue was very John Wick to me because a lot of it was like there's a cleanup crew she can call in. Then she goes to the store where she gets all of her guns because she wants to talk to the current leader, and it all felt very John Wick, the secret assassin sort of lifestyle.
It does, doesn't it? It feels like DC went, hey, do you want to do a John Wick book? Do you want to give us one of those? You know, in the same way that the Terrifics has gone, hey, do you want to do a Fantastic Four book? This kind of feels that same thing. It's like, do you want to do this? Just change
I wonder if
it.
that was Abnett's pitch. He's like, hey, I've got this idea, but it's basically like John Wick.
It's like, hey, DC, do you want a John Wick book?
But she's got this cool,
got
like, quiet bubble power that she can use, and it's like, yeah, sure, why not? So they're really playing with all that, and there's something going on. She wants to know whose cousins, and we've got this guy who's sort of running the place that she knew from before, who is now being really stubborn and insisting that she worked for him, even though she wants out, of course, because she wants the normal family life. And that's kind of the big cliffhanger, is that she's got like an army with him to kind of force her hand.
Yeah, the game's changed since she was in it, and she's no longer the top of the food chain.
Yeah, because she also mentions there used to be like honor and rules, and it seems like he's kind of ignoring the rules and doing his own thing. So. There's a thing there. And I enjoyed the first issue more. I thought the tension with Talia being there and her having to hide everything, because I think it was a tighter issue overall, although this issue did explore more of the world and give us more of the goings-ons.
Yeah, I agree with that. I still enjoyed this issue, though, quite a bit. I think it's a solid issue. Not quite as strong, though. I like the little joke about how she phones the operator who deals with all the stuff for Leviathan, and she's like, okay, I'll tell the neighbours there was like a stunt show that wasn't supposed to be on that street, and that's where all the fire and stuff came from, and we'll give them free tickets or something. And then she goes in the house, and her husband's like, hey, you never believe this, we got a call, they were filming some stunt show outside, and because of the inconvenience, we're getting tickets to the premiere. And she's like, you're right, I don't believe it.
Yeah. So there was some fun stuff like that. No, I'm still into it. I'm still digging the overall plot. I think it's because it is a bit of Kill Bill, a little bit of John Wick. I'm kind of seeing the just kind of the fun action movie stuff it's playing with.
It's not incredibly original, like in that sense.
No, yeah.
The power does set it apart. Don't get me wrong, but its core beats are, they're tropes of the genre. But that's okay because I'm having fun with it. The art's not atrocious. It's it's mostly passable.
It's Romita
better in
Jr.
the action better in the action sequences, as to be expected. I think there's a couple of times where the faces just look particularly wrong. Like her face when they're sitting eating breakfast, I think it is. There's one panel where her face looks like she's possessed by the devil. Like, I don't know what's going on with her eyes. They look like they're like just googly eyes been stuck on her.
And obviously, again, the breakfast stuff is all, this is our normal family life. This is the life that they're very likeable. They're having a nice conversation with their kid, and there's some jokes flying around. But you feel like she's going to be struggling to keep a hold of this. Because even the opening of the first issue was her with the kid in the suit, and she's like, threatening someone, and then we cut back, and we'll get to that point again eventually. But
and we kind of have that played here, where the kid's done the drawing of the guy in the trolley from the supermarket from last issue.
So I wonder, if we're going to end this arc with tragedy, does the husband maybe die at the end of the arc? And that kind of,
I can see that be the reason why she has to have the kid around with her a lot.
Yeah, and it sets her on this path of vengeance.
It's like that's how she gets back into the game properly. Yeah. She is the dog from John. He will be the dog from John Wick, essentially.
Oh dear. Yeah, so we might fridge the husband, but there you go. That's a silencer issue too. I'm still having fun with it. Surprisingly so. Obviously, I think when we get to issue 4, we change to Bogdanovich. I think it might even just get that extra spark of, just that extra sheen.
It might have a bit of a better flow in the art. I think. So
that'll be interesting to get to. But I still enjoyed the silencer, so keeping that on. At least for now. At least me and Connor are. Matt's over there going,
He keeps saying John Wick, but then I'm just like, I'll probably just go watch John Wick.
Hey, Matt, do you know the director of John Wick's doing a Highlander reboot?
I was scrolling through CVR as you guys were talking, and I just saw that. I'm going to watch the shit out of that.
If you enjoy John Wick, you should check out The Villainess, because that's got some great action.
Villainess had some great action scenes.
Yeah.
I saw you guys reviewed that. That's up on...
Yeah. Look at Matt making the plug there for us. That's very nice. I know sometimes I recommend you a Korean film, Matt. You end up being angry at me, but this is not. This is just a straight action movie.
I wasn't angry about that one, but we'll go.
You'll enjoy this one.
Yeah, enjoy The Villainess.
Action's universal.
So that will take us on to picking our favourites of the week. We pick our top 5 books of the week. We also pick our best cover, best artist, and best panel/moment. So I guess we'll start with panel or moment, as we always do. I'll go to Connor first, see what he's saying.
Yeah, that was a bad choice, but man, I was not prepared for. I never prepare for panel for some reason. Get a Matt. Matt's prepared.
Matt, are you prepared for panel?
Yeah, I can just pull one. I don't have to overthink it, Connor. It's not that difficult.
Yeah,
but it's probably going to be from Howlin' Pals, where you have the team of lanterns rolling in Wild Bunch style to Jakul.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a good, group of these kind of loose cannons. You get Kilowog, who's the drill instructor, but then you got Space Ape and Guy Gardner and Howled Up Kyle. So it looks pretty cool. And yeah, that's what it should be. It's like, who let the dog fighters out? So it's another bad Howlism.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Connor?
Okay, I'm good. I'm going from Batgirl. I'm going during the scuffle at the end, Penguin biting her, because that just cracked me up when I was reading that.
No, that is pretty good. I'm actually also going to go from Batgirl. I was tempted to go with that panel from Terrifics with Plastic Man with the face, because I really like that one. But I think I have to go with the moment she realizes that the trust ray was being used on her.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I have to go with that, because that
really
like
3-panel sequence across the top of the page.
That landed the joke so well for me, and it made the previous page like great in retrospect, because it was like, oh, there's something weird there. That was a weird interaction. Oh, it was great, and the art just nailed it. It nailed the cartoony like shock face.
The realization.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, the fact that a comic can make you think like, oh, this is not in character, and then to play with that.
Yeah.
And
I felt really dumb as well, because they just told me about a truth ray.
No, but I think we all fell for it, right? Because I was like, oh, that was weird. Like, because I remember going, wait, she's just walking away from that? Like, what? And then immediately it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
I hope the truth ray comes back, because I can see some comedy potential. If that's
trust.
The trust ray, I keep saying truth ray.
Trust
ray. I hope that comes back, because I see comedy potential in it interacting with more people.
Yeah.
So, hey, so that's panel/moment. We'll go to best cover next. I'll go first, because I had a real fight in my hands, because there was 3 variants this week that were absolute bombshells. The Action Comics variant with Superman sitting on the roof was beautiful. The Batgirl variant, where she's sort of looking over her shoulder and she's in the sort of the winter coat, beautiful.
Snow, yeah.
And then what was the third one? I'm forgetting off the top of my head now.
Was it Mera?
It was Mera, yeah. I think I'm going to give it to Batgirl, but I want to just emphasise how close Action Comics was to taking it. But that Batgirl variant is beautiful.
Do you know, I'm really not a fan of that Batgirl variant.
Well,
I love it.
Oh, Connor's just wrong.
I don't know. Something about the way the face sits and the shoulder just kind of looks off to me. I don't know.
Fine.
Doesn't do it for me.
Fine. Opinions are different. That's fine. That's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion.
I'm not telling you you shouldn't pick it. I'm just saying it doesn't work for me.
That's fine. That's fine.
So my battle came down between the two, and I was gonna go Batgirl, but then Pete edged on that side, so I gotta go with Action, because that's, just it's striking.
Yep. No. It's exactly the sort of thing you could put in your wall, Matt. Big.
Yep. Exactly.
Mediocre issue of Action Comics, but that is a goddamn variant cover.
No, I agree. That variant is fantastic. But I'm going to give it to the Mera variant, because
he gave up in the book 6 pages in, but
but he loves the cover.
I love that variant cover. It's gorgeous.
The regular cover's pretty good as well, but the variant.
Yeah, the regular cover's pretty good. Yeah, it is. But oh man, the Ajab cover is just fantastic. It became my phone background already.
I've not changed my phone background in like 2 years.
It's been like every 3 or 4. Usually when there's a variant cover that I really like, I'll go, oh, that would do.
I just forget to think about changing it, like, ever.
Well, I found a really cool Doc Shaner Superman on Reddit, and I was like, oh, this is it.
I think they're called textless covers on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so every week they collect all the covers that they can find without any of the text on, like ideal for phone backgrounds, basically. So
Reddit, there's a subreddit called, I want to say Comic Walls. And it's the same thing. It's textless covers.
Interesting. But hey, so best art of the week then is probably next up. So I'll go to Matt first for that.
So I came in guns blazing for Ivan Reis. So I'm gonna give it to the Terrifics. From Plastic Man to even the look of Metamorpho, and just all around enjoyed it. And then Tom Strong. He does a great Tom Strong. I can't wait for Shaner to come in and see his.
I did like the art and the Terrifics. There wasn't like a standout one for me quite as much this week. Sometimes it was like a really obvious choice. I think I'm leaning towards Batgirl though. I think the Batgirl art really like just nailed the tone and the mood it was going for. It might not have been the flashiest in the sense of it wasn't like when we get like a new Shannon Batman where it's like, oh my god, it's blowing us away. But it nailed everything it wanted to do and nailed the tone so well that I think I have to give it to Batgirl.
No, so I agree with your sentiment. There's not a standout this week. There's a lot of good, but there's a few like the Flash, for example, where I'm like, oh, this is pretty good, but there's just some things that hold it back where I wouldn't want to say, oh, it's the best of a week.
Yeah.
Ultimately, for me, I think it comes down to between Batgirl and Detective, because obviously Detective had the challenge of it just being, talking and carrying that. But I think I might have to side with Batgirl. I think, like I say, it really does everything it's supposed to do perfectly.
Cool. So that takes us to the top 5 books of the week. So we're circling back around to Connor to go first. What was your top 5?
That's fine. So first up is Detective. Second is Batgirl. Third is Terrifics. Fourth is Flash. And then fifth will be Hallam Pals.
Matt.
Yeah, so number 1, Batgirl. Number 2, Terrifics. Number 3, Tech. Number 4, Hallam Pals. And number 5, Flash.
Okay. This is a tough week because it's a really good week.
It's one of those where I don't know if there's a lot of like you said about the art. I don't think there's many that stand out as like, oh, that's amazing. But they're all very consistent with each other. I
feel like my top 4 could all fight for number 1 because they're all fantastic. I really like the not that number 5 is going to be a really weak book, but just that there was 4 that really stuck out to me this week as being, this was a great week because these 4 were all fantastic. But I think my number 1, I think I have to go Batgirl, and then I think. Terrifics and then Detective, so I'm really similar to Matt so far. But I'm going to put Flash at number 4. I really love Flash. And then number 5, I think.
The only point now where you can differ from me and Matt, because those books we both had in ours as well.
Yeah, but I don't read Hallam Pals, so I think my number 5. I may go to. You know what? I'll give it a Silencer. I'll throw in Silencer at number 5.
Wow.
To be fair, Silencer would have been, it was fighting for my 5th spot.
Yeah, I like Teen Titans, I like Mera, I feel like obviously Action is lower than those, and then obviously Wonder Woman's, down in
worth talking about.
Last place, but, I thought it was a solid week. I had a really nice splatter of books this week, so...
Yeah,
I am pleased. I am pleased with this week of comics, which leads me to tell you what is coming in next week's week of comics. Coming next week, we have Batman 42, we have Superman 42, we have Justice League 40, we have Green Lanterns 42, we have Green Arrow number 38, we have Nightwing number 40, we have Deathstroke 29, we have Batman White Knight number 6. And then on top of that, that's what we're covering. On top of that, there's also Bane Conquest 10, I believe, Black Lightning Cold Dead Hands number 5, Deadman number 5, Harley Quinn 39, theoretically. And Batman, the single number 3, was solicited for that day, although given that 2 get pushed, I am going to make a hunch and say that 3 also get pushed.
I'm just looking now.
Yep, it's not on there.
Yeah, so who knows what week that's hitting. But, so back to week 1 next week, and kick off March's books.
Jen and Ivy, I cannot wait.
Oh man, yeah, Matt's excited. Yeah, I can't fault the excitement. Let's be honest, I can't fault it.
No.
Looks like a reasonably solid week.
Yeah, is that the Deathstroke next week? Is that the start of the Batman v Deathstroke arc?
No, not
30.
I think that's the one after. Yeah,
one's after. Okay.
This is the Chinatown finale.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we're wrapping that up still. Okay, so that's what's coming next week, and that wraps up episode 93 of Comics from the Multiverse. Getting up there in the numbers, just inching towards that 100, closer bit by bit. Happening next month. So Yeah, so by all means, let us know what you thought of this week's books in the comments. Like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at DC Comics Podcast. Of course, you can find me on the Twitters at Wibble89. You can find Matt at
Matt of Steel 57.
You can find Connor at...
Oh, sorry, what are we doing? I wasn't paying attention.
Twitter!
Jesus,
Oh, Twitter, at Conrad94.
Oh my god.
I was out of it.
It's just his name. It's his goddamn name.
No, I just wasn't listening to what was happening. So I'm hungry. I'm
Clearly, you don't have to
thinking of
explain
going to get
that.
food.
We understood when you said, huh?
So, that's the Twitters. Of course, check out our other stuff. Me and Connor do the television from the Multiverse podcast every week, where we do talk about TV shows, of course, from DC. We have a bunch of stuff. In fact, our top 10 movie videos episode from 2017 is coming, and we're recording that tomorrow. That's all three of us again. That'll be going up on Monday, because we're kind of tying that into like the Oscars being on, and we're going to do our own awards.
We're doing ours after. We're better. We're the main event.
Yeah, exactly. More important.
I don't know. We don't have Jimmy Kimmel, so...
Ugh, who wants him?
Me? He's a hero for what he's done this year. All right? It's fine.
He was a hero just with the Matt Damon joke that was running for about 10 years.
Oh, yeah, and it's still going. It still goes. It's
Apologies to Matt Damon. We ran out of time.
Look, I didn't really mean what I said. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so check out our stuff on the Mailfuzz TV YouTube channel, or search Mailfuzz TV for audio feeds of things. There's various movie and TV stuff as well, on top of everything else. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and always remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
And Nathaniel Dusk is my hero. Where is he though?